All right, good Thursday morning, everybody. How are we doing? Whoa. No.
What?
No.
I just caught
No.
What's wrong?
What are you doing?
What's wrong?
What are you doing?
What do you mean what I'm doing? I'm here. I'm hosting the Gary and Matt
No,
show with
turn your
my
hat- turn your
Matt McMaster, with my co-host Gary Sharp,
Turn your
Jimmy
hat around.
Chavez.
Turn your hat around.
Look at my StreamYard.
It's frozen.
No, it's not.
And what's frozen on mine?
What does it say below
Yeah.
that? Coach Matt.
All right.
Why do you
look like Dan Quinn?
Let's just
When
pause.
I
before
turn my head around, I'm Coach Matt.
No. Okay, let's just stop this before we go any further. My first thought when I saw the head coach of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln football program appearing on his radio show with his hat backwards, which I thought was kind of funny, is, first of all, I got to read the replies. And then will Colin Cowherd rip
Yes.
Matt Rule, because Colin Cowherd has this whole theory on hat backwards guys. Started with Ken Griffey Jr. I think he kind of came around, and now he's gone back to he dislikes it. So that's the first thing I thought of. And then I thought, ooh, I don't know this part about Rule, but is Matt Rule secretly a 30 Rock fan?
Ooh, why do you say that?
Because one of the best cameos in television was on 30 Rock that involved somebody that just showed up that was wearing, at an older age, a backwards cap.
Was it Alec Baldwin?
Steve Buscemi.
Oh, okay. That's
Steve
funny.
Buscemi was on 30 Rock.
That's a good one.
It's a pretty good
call.
It's a pretty good cameo, and he had his hat on backwards. And Steve Buscemi is not like 18.
No, God, no.
So people are like, whoa. And he's like the cool kid. He's like, oh, what's up, dude? Hey, let's so I don't know if Matt Rule is a 30 Rock fan, but I thought that was kind of interesting last night. And I also know this fan base and college football, and when you're 7-5 and in 3 years you haven't gone to the playoff, is that people will have, I think, a very a normal reaction to seeing that. I thought it was funny. I got more things to worry about. There's more things on the horizon to worry about than the football coach showing up on his radio show with his hat backwards. But do what you will with that. I don't think you can pull it off.
I think I could pull it off way better than Matt Rule can. First off, I have a proper backwards hat on. I don't have a fitted backwards hat.
Fitted hat. If you're going to go backwards, the fitted hat is the way to go.
Oh, I couldn't disagree more.
Oh, because then you got the little fluff hanging out.
Exactly.
The muff is going right out there, the opening of the back of the hat.
It does look okay.
That's the point, though. It's like you kind of like holds back the hair, and sometimes
so you got the salad to do that. You get the receding hairline.
Exactly.
So you got that.
Well,
I was gonna say
sure, that's a good point. If I didn't have,
if you had like a lot of hair, it might not look as good.
You know what? Actually, when I did have a lot of hair, it looked better because it would be peeking through a little bit. And you could see the luscious locks. You are right. If I did have a like not a lot of hair right down the middle, probably wouldn't look the best.
I think it looks good.
I think that's a young people thing then, from my fitted hat backwards perspective.
You look better with the hat turned around.
Now, the funny thing is the camo too. I couldn't see the top of his head the entire interview.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You should raise your hand on that one.
Okay, my bad. I'll turn. All
right.
I'll turn my hat around.
Welcome to Nebraska. If you're not familiar with our game around here, that's what we're going to spend for 4 hours talking about the hat backwards football coach that appeared on his radio show.
I like it.
That looks better.
That's
a better look.
Good look.
It's always, I'm not cool enough to pull off
that is a brand new hat, right?
This is a brand new hat.
Yeah, Northwest Indiana Bears. Good job.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is a good team. You think the Indianapolis Colts are upset?
No, I don't think they can.
I mean, they had Indiana all to themselves until Kevin Warren said, you know what? We got a game on Saturday night with the Packers. I got to make some news. So they announced that they are looking at a Northwest Indiana site, very similar to 1995 when you were not around, when they did the same thing and there was really no intention to leave downtown Chicago.
Remember McDome?
Yeah.
But
Kevin Warren's timing of things is quite fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
Like, do you think you know how some people, when the weather changes, you get creaky knees?
Yeah.
Like your knees start to hurt?
Yeah.
Do you think that Kevin Warren just, like when things are going too well, and things are going well for the Bears, and they've got a gigantic game Saturday night, that he's like, ooh, I got that pain in my side. You know what? I don't think the Big Ten should play football this year. You know what? I think we should drop that. We're looking at potential sites in Northwest Indiana. to distract people from the Bears-Packers game. I don't know. Kevin Warren's timing is very impeccable.
Taking the pressure off the team.
I mean, maybe that's what a good CEO does is they know timing. They know when to drop news.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe they're not necessarily I would maybe say some are tone deaf, but he does have a spot where he just picks it and he's like, you know what? Things are going too well. Let's get some chaos going.
I think Kevin Warren's best skill is telling everybody everything is going to be okay, and then making very brash, irrational decisions at the worst time is probably. Now I have to do a little research in terms of
the Bears.
No, not the Bears.
Bob Avellini.
No,
Bobby Douglas.
Yes.
No. I don't need
Vince Evans.
I don't need any Bronco Nagurski. Okay,
Vince Evans was really good.
I'm
Whoa.
read up.
Steve
I love
Fuller.
Bronco. I love Bronco. I'm a
Gale Sayers.
Yes, the Kansas
Okay.
Comet. Now,
Where would you like to start?
I need to do research. On
They
the
played at Wrigley Field at one time. Did you know that?
Yes,
Maybe they're
I'm
going
aware.
back there.
Gale had 6 touchdowns in one game.
Actually,
He did, and that was that anniversary was just recent.
I'd actually much rather go to Wrigley Field to watch the Bears play than go to Soldier Field to watch the Bears play. No,
you get to go to Northwest Indiana.
I need to go. I'm actually.
Is Gary nice?
If you ask
Never been
some
there.
people in our stream, I live closer to Northwest Indiana than I do Chicago. So
I thought it was
because I'm not
Waukegan.
actually from Chicago. But anyway, what I was going
Technically, yes.
well, yeah, technically I'm from Skokie. What I was going to say though is that I need to do research on when he was in Minnesota because he helped build the reason why Kevin Warren was hired to be the Chicago Bears, president was not because he was the commissioner of the Big Ten and he did such a bang up job in that job. He was hired as
wait a minute. It wasn't because they wouldn't have to pay moving expenses.
No.
He was already living in the Chicagoland area.
Well,
Which
it was-
is smart
He was
when you want a job.
already living in Rosemont. If we're gonna ding me for being in Skokie,
I said
we're gonna-
Chicagoland.
Yeah, I want to call Rosemont Chicagoland area. Rosemont's very much.
Shout out the Horizon.
They have a casino over there. Anyway,
So that doesn't make them Chicago?
Well, I'm just pointing out that they got a casino over there. It's a nice casino, and they got O'Hare Airport.
Shock. Took us 10 minutes.
So
He's just giving you ideas for things to
You're
do when you go.
probably
Exactly.
pissed that Kalshi had a problem yesterday. Go ahead.
he was in Minnesota and he helped build the U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yes, he did.
And I need to go ahead and do some research to see if it also got very contentious and ugly with the state of Minnesota while he was trying to build that stadium.
I'm somewhat
Street?
familiar with the project because Target Field was a little, they used Target Field as a model. No,
Okay.
because they remember the reason why they had to move forward with the stadium in Minnesota is because the Metrodome.
Good point.
Fell
Yeah,
apart.
I
Very
mean,
good point.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Soldier Field doesn't have a dome that is going to
Yeah.
fall apart. That's going to force them to build a new stadium. So this is his part of the reason why he did this. When he did this, is the timing. Is because the Bears are being talked about. Because now his intention when he said, "Hey, we might have to look at places in Northwest Indiana," is so we have this reaction. So you're talking about it and national shows are talking about it and people are tweeting about it and people are making memes about the Gary Bears, and all that stuff. Like that's exactly why he's done this. Like this is to me his final trump card in terms of, hey, we're going to threaten to move the Bears out of the state and everybody's going to go haywire about it. And that's going to force Illinois not to give the Bears money to build the stadium, to give the Bears money to just build the streets and infrastructure they need to move everything to Arlington. So
I mean,
if this doesn't work, I don't know
If
what
you're a
will.
good Bears fan, you ignore this because you have something more important. I mean, some might look at it as a distraction. I don't know if it affects Caleb Williams because
I
as
don't
you
think it
remember,
does.
the day before they drafted Caleb Williams, they announced that they were moving out of downtown Chicago.
They did.
So, I mean, it's the timing. The timing is quite interesting with that organization. But have fun in Northwest Indiana.
We're not going there.
I hear that from part of Northwest Indiana, you can see downtown Chicago. So you can at least see where you used to be, as referred to as the Northwest Indiana Bears. That's going to be pretty cool. That'll be tough, though. Northwest Indiana versus Green Bay. Just doesn't roll off your tongue.
Is there no
All right.
land closer
I think
to
like
Skokie?
I think like we're playing AAU basketball. But good morning. All right, welcome in.
You
Gary
know
and Matt.
just as well as I do that they're not going to Indiana. You know that's not going to happen.
You never say never.
Stop it.
You never say never.
Stop it. They are not going out there. But no, we don't have
Their new
we don't have any
their new
open
rival.
area.
Their
We
new
have no
rival will
land.
be the Colts. No longer will it be the Packers because it'll be the Colts because they'll be sharing the same state.
Yeah, we were never good enough to really have a rivalry with the Colts, which was, well, I guess
But you
we,
will now.
we played them in the Super Bowl. But
Yeah.
like other than that, I mean, that kind of we got our asses kicked and we were like, we can't really hate you for that.
Shout out Rex Grossman.
shut up. Hayden Manning is probably the more.
Oh, no,
I think
Rex fumbled a
I think
lot.
Jimmy's saying that Rex Grossman made it to a Super Bowl gives us all hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
I mean,
won
Trey
13
Dilfer
games
winning
with
a Super Bowl gives us all hope.
All right, coming up on the show, Sarah Baker Hansen will stop by for the final time in 2025. Also, Steve Sipple will be by. I always pause after I see Sip's name. I don't know if people want to insert things.
No, I'm okay. No,
looking
no
forward.
ad-libbing for me. I'm not
Friend.
Quavo from the Migos. I'm not going to go drip,
Nice.
sip.
Brian Edwards will be in at 9:45. It's another day of football. Great NFL game tonight. A huge
Awesome.
game. 2 11-3 teams are meeting in Seattle, the Rams and Seattle, which a game you can hear on the Zone. That's the lineup brought to you by the Roof Freeze of John Higgins Weather Guard. Welcome back, Creighton. Last night, there were a lot of elements that looked very normal in Cincinnati that we've seen before out of the Creighton basketball team as they obliterated Xavier. Obliterated.
Killed him.
98-57. They were up 49-22 at halftime. Did you start the call-in show at halftime? Did you say, Bish, I got this, and you immediately went to calls?
No.
Because you could have, and you would have been fine.
I wish I could have taken your advice. I wish I could have gotten home at about like 7:30, if that were the case.
Did
But
Bishop stretch the post game because he was so excited?
No, it was only 20 minutes. It was a quick
Really?
post game.
In and
man.
out?
Yeah. Austin
Bishop
Schwartz,
likes those quickies,
Coach-
especially after a win.
Coach Mack came on. Coach Mack was very excited. He used the word proud. I was like, whoa.
Oh,
this
I
is the
think he
first
should
time.
be.
Whoa, big. Oh, no,
yeah.
no. I'm not saying he should be. He definitely should be. But it was a very much a different tone
Yeah.
from Mac in the post game. And then, Coach Huss came on our Blue Jay overtime show. He was bright eyed, bushy tailed. He was very happy to be there. So it was high vibes and
Hey.
great times.
Hey, as the lesson learned last night, and I was at Baxter, so it was I think Rob Anderson tweeted this out. First time that Creighton men and women on the same day. This is so Rob Anderson. Have won by 40 or more.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what, because the Creighton women looked really good last night. They looked normal. And it was great seeing Coach Flan, one of my favorite people, regardless of where he coaches at. But he happens to be a great asset for Creighton athletics as the women's basketball coach. So it's always great to catch up with Flan, standing there talking to him before the game on the sidelines. And, he's got a young team, but he's got a set of twins. They're going to be stars in the Big East. But Creighton women looked normal last night.
Yeah.
The way they play basketball. The Creighton men looked normal last night. And it's funny, we were discussing this post Kansas State yesterday more with John Walker. It's funny how things can happen when you play hard and what it leads to. And all of a sudden, it's a make or miss sport.
Yeah.
And when you make things and they go in, and especially when you get an extra point for them when they're from 3,
Yeah.
how that can change the whole mood.
Sure.
But Creighton looked normal last night. And I don't know that if you're putting on your track shoes and running to normalcy, that it's happening.
Sure.
But you do look at a little bit of the schedule, and after that performance, and I think people understand the roles, and they understand that the best coaching tool that is available
Yeah.
is called the bench.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so if you aren't living up to standards and playing simply just hard, you're going to have a hard time seeing the floor.
Mhm.
And I think that's what, Mac has preached, and he finally followed through with it. And maybe some guys get that, and it changes their outlook. Instead of moping, they're like, I'm moving onto the floor. That is, not moving out of the program. But last night they got the win. But if you look at their schedule, because Marquette's terrible.
They're awful.
Marquette got beat by Georgetown last night. So Marquette will roll in for a 7:30 tip on Saturday night. Not very good. That's one of the poor Shaka Smart teams.
Mhm.
And they're young, but Georgetown's better. Seton Hall's better. I'll get to that in just a moment.
Yeah.
But you have a nice little run here where you can finish out the year. Now it's going to take a lot, to get back into NCAA consideration. But I did see that Ken Pom adjusted after last night. He's got Creighton 17-14, I think 11-9 in the league. But you have Marquette on Saturday. You have a non-con game on Monday, and then they have Butler at home before they flip the calendar to 26. So I don't know that. You go, okay, we good? What do the kids say? We good?
Yeah, we good?
We good?
Yeah.
We
no,
good? But
no.
but they have a chance to run off 3 in a row and then have a game where we'll check back in Seton Hall when they go to Seton Hall on the 4th of January, because Seton Hall is much improved.
Yeah.
And they've done it defensively as well. But you needed a win. You got to win. Don't overthink it. Move on. Get another win. But last night looked like a normal, what Creighton basketball is supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm. They to me, they got kicked in the ass after the Kansas State game by their coaching staff. And you brought up a great point. I kind of brought up yesterday on the overtime show was you could say all the words that you want to your team to communicate to them, but the greatest way of communication is minutes. And when they went ahead and they played those 5 guys at the end of the Kansas State game, and you had Graves on the bench and Schwartz on the bench and Freeman on the bench and all these guys you acquired from the portal that communicated to them, I don't give a damn how much we paid you. I don't give a damn how good you might be at basketball. This is what we're expecting from you. And I think Nick Graves in particularly answered the call yesterday with just how he played. And I think they all just, they actually played with effort. They actually played with
Which
energy.
is so low.
I know,
but that's where they are. They've created this mess for themselves.
And
they've also created where a guy who you thought would be further down in the rotation has kind of spearheaded a turnaround.
In Ty Davis?
Schwartz.
No, big time.
I mean,
oh my God.
Who would have thought that? Maybe that's why the year will be very, very weird, is that a guy like that is leading you through all of the fog. But they have Marquette on Saturday night, so I firmly believe, I'll touch the money here, they'll be 2-0 when they wake up on Sunday morning in the Big East.
I don't think you're touching the money. I think you're just looking.
I watched the Marquette-Georgetown game. Marquette's bad. It's just, I mean, they are bad.
I watched about 5 in-game minutes of that game. That's also kind of the thing because you can watch a basketball game and be like, man, if they just did this, or if this didn't happen, or if this was a trend. No, you kind of watched them and you were like, nah, it's just not there.
Yeah.
It just isn't clicking.
What happened?
You know what?
Didn't they used to be good?
They were
Well,
really good.
okay,
They were
so-
good last year.
So
they were very good
they
last year. They lost a
like
lot.
our conversation with John Walker yesterday. Shaka didn't dip into the portal, and he tried to go with young high school guys. So he's kind of in the, they've been an older team for a while, and now they ran out of eligibility, and they flipped it to, okay, this is our 3-year cycle. We begin again. I don't think they would have, in their wildest dreams, expected them to struggle as much as they are. But they're on the struggle bus. So, you got to beat teams that are at the bottom of the conference. You got to do work there and then hope you can find like some splittage with St. John's and UConn. But I'm going to say this, and I know this probably will not go over well in RDJ world. Creighton looked like Nebraska last night.
They look like a team.
They looked like they played hard.
Yeah.
They hit shots, and they looked like they were connected on both ends of the floor, and they had chemistry, and guys liked each other last night. That's what I took away. You can throw all the X's and O's at me. They look like what Nebraska looks like. Chemistry and connected on both ends of the floor. Crazy how we overcomplicate sports, but sometimes it's just so simple.
Yeah.
Now, I know the shots got to go in. When you're draining threes at the beginning of the game, I mean, those shots got to go in.
Yeah.
But the fact that you are connected and everybody's on the same page and you look like you like each other when you're on the floor, how much that can do for you.
Well, I don't think Gary was like just because the shots were going in, because when they played Baylor, they were in that game not because they were connected or playing great basketball. They were in that game because they were making their shots, right? Even in the beginning of that Nebraska game, they were making in the beginning of the Gonzaga game, they were in that game because they were making shots. It wasn't because they were playing connected. Yesterday, they actually had dudes playing roles. Like Jason Green was playing a great role. Nick Graves was a spark plug off the bench. Owen Freeman was like, kind of, and especially in the second half, played much better in the second half, like using his body and diving toward the paint. Like they had dudes who understood their assignments and actually executed their assignments. But to your point and kind of what I said yesterday, like this is a very small snowball starting to go down the hill. And this isn't like okay, Creighton is back and oh my God, like holy crap, everything. Like this can't just be hey, we got our butt whooped against Kansas State. We got, we went ahead and responded really well. This has to become the norm.
I'm not surprised they won.
Consistent.
I mean, I think everybody's surprised by the amount because Xavier's terrible. That was terrible last night. I mean, to lose that bad at home, like Creighton played well. Okay, there's winners and losers. They got crushed. At home.
No juice. No juice. And they
Nice job, Richard.
Refuse could go up strong with the basket. I mean, the amount of times that all those guys just wanted to do fadeaways or like turn around jump hooks and stuff like that. Like, no, dude, you have a small basketball team. Go strong to the hoop.
Yeah, they got punched in the mouth last night, and they said we'd rather talk about Joe Burrow than talk about Josh Dix.
They'd rather talk about Brendan Sorsby than talk about Josh Dix.
All right. We do have a champion in our midst. Josh Hodson will be in here later today because they flew back right after the game. Iowa Western last night, down 10-0. They came back. They beat Hutchinson 28-10. So third title in 4 years for Scott Strohmeyer and the Iowa Western Reavers. Impressive performance. But I know they flew back after the game, so Josh should be in here for the crossover.
Wow.
He's going to get another ring.
Smelling a champagne.
Oh, hey. I've told you guys to listen in. Those guys on the Reaver broadcast on 89.7 The River, that is entertaining.
Yeah.
When that game was getting towards the end, I logged on because they also have a booth cam.
So
nice.
They have fun. They're four guys that like Iowa Western football that have a lot of fun, and Josh is part of that broadcast crew. Tony Boone, Jake Ryan is the longtime play-by-play voice. They're entertaining and good for them because they don't get a lot. Iowa Western doesn't get as much attention around here as they used to.
Yeah,
I think because they don't really have a beat writer anymore. Tony used to be that guy when he was at the World Herald. But regardless, Stroh has a machine going, and that's 3 and 4 years. They've been to the JUCO championship game 5 straight years. He's been there 7 times in his 17-year career, and he's got another title. And then the other part of it is, if you happen to watch the game last night on ESPNU, he lost his daughter who was waiting for a heart transplant. Em was 22, and 10 days before she was going to get, or not a heart transplant, excuse me, her kidney transplant, she passed away. And it's been tough. That's a tight family and it's a tight community, and that team that rallied for their coach, and to finish the way they did last night against a rival who they had lost earlier to in the year. That was a great story. That's what sports are all about. That happened last night down in Texas. So congratulations, Iowa Western, but they are a champion again, 3rd time in 4 years. So what do they say? Sales up? Is that what their I think their tagline is? I think when they win on the radio, they say sales up.
Joey had the booth cam on like during the game. I couldn't hear them or anything like that, but when they scored the touchdown to go up 21-10, you could see all 4 of them just get up and cheer, and literally Josh Hodson jumped up about a good 16 inches and did a great fist pump. And
it's four fans that are doing the game.
It's awesome.
They all chime in at different times. It's very entertaining. They do a really good job.
And then we looked up in the here, and then they ran that wheel route. It was such a beautiful play design, by the way. I mean, it was gorgeous how they scored that touchdown, and then they just walked into the end zone.
All right. You have all the information. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, Matt Rule did speak last night with a backwards hat.
Coach Matt.
Oh man, read the replies. So he said some things yesterday that we will discuss. Plus, we have to talk about Nebraska men's basketball. I mean, can't let Creighton winning yesterday deter from the fact that
cover the Blue Bloods.
Over the last 70 games, the better win percentage lives in Lincoln compared to Omaha, which is most people was caught off guard yesterday. All right, you can always join the program 402-951-1620. That is on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, like Mitch has. Good morning, Mitch. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, guys. I got a cool Kevin Warren story from about 10 years ago. Me, my wife, and our 2 boys rented a minivan, took a road trip, hadn't been to Minneapolis or Chicago, so we did a big loop. We're up in Minneapolis, cruising by the old Vikings practice facility, and we roll up and see this big pimpin' G-Wagon. And it's on the weekend. There's nobody in the parking lot, so I kind of go in the wrong way so I can get driver door to driver door with this G-Wagon and say hello, see if it's somebody, see if it's a player or something. We're just cruising. But window goes down. It's Kevin Warren. He's like, he looks over. He goes, "Are any of you guys Vikings fans?" Well, I'm a Raider. My wife's a Bronco. Other boys are Bronco. Other boys are Chief. Interdivisional family. But I look at my wife. I go, "She is." And he goes, "You guys want to see the facility?"
Oh wow,
dude! He walks us in, takes us through the whole thing. We're up in like the main office where they make their decisions. It was this incredible table. I mean, it looked like a $20,000 table and chairs. It was just an awesome wood table. And this is the coolest part of the story for me, my best memory of it. We're looking out this big window that overlooks the Vikings practice field, and there's this hill, and it looks like a deer trail, just a straight trail up and down this hill. And he points over to that hill. He goes, "That's where AP worked his knee back into shape, Adrian Peterson." He ran that hill. You know, that was one of the things he did. He ran that hill like crazy. But if you do any other research on Kevin, he's from because we looked him up once we left, he's from an incredibly successful family, and he's an awesome dude. And I just wanted to give him a shout out and tell that cool story.
Mitch, thanks for sharing that story. I know, around here, people have a different opinion of Kevin Warren, but thank you for sharing that. And the Vikings, so they're in a jaw-dropping facility in Eagan, where they also have training camp because they moved from Mankato up to the cities. And so they're right there at their facility. They host high school football games at their stadium. So they have the practice facility, but they have a stadium right there in Eagan. But they used to be over in Eden Prairie, and so it was Winter Park. So that's where he ran into Kevin Warren. That's what people do say. When he was with the Vikings, he was very much under the radar. I used to think, my guys that work for the Twins used to tell me that they thought Kevin Warren would be the next commissioner of the NFL.
Wow.
Because he was kind of trending that way.
Yeah.
He was widely respected in the NFL. He was the lead guy on US Bank Stadium, and they didn't have any hiccups, except for the typical red tape and some of the politics you got to go through. But it was people were pushing back against it. And the guys at the Twins are like, yeah, I think Kevin Warren he'll take over for Goodell. And the next thing you know, he leaves. The Big Ten is looking for a commissioner to replace a legend in Jim Delaney, and Kevin Warren shows up. And I believe it caught people in the NFL by surprise. That's why I don't think people were surprised when he went back to the NFL with the Bears. My only interaction with him, and of course, when everything went down in the COVID year, everybody tried to get him on.
Yeah.
And, we got denied like 4 times. So in 2021, he then did a tour of the Big Ten. So he went around to every Big Ten city.
Okay.
And he came to Lincoln. Just happened to be on the elevator with him. So it was me, Kevin Warren, and I don't know that they were I don't know they were security, but they look like, they might have been fellow Big Ten CEOs that were with him. Tried to get a conversation going because you only have from the first floor to the 6th floor.
Yeah, give him the elevator pitch.
Didn't happen.
You're like, look, what if we could trade players?
So what's the, again, we're all kind of, we look at Kevin Warren differently around here, and probably his decision about 2020 and then his relationship with Bill Moose did not help the situation if you're looking at it from a Nebraska lens.
Sure.
Give me the general vibe of the Bear Nation about Kevin Warren.
He's trying. Yeah. Like they appreciate. There are some Bears fans who don't like the fact that he wants to move them out of Chicago, out of downtown, because there is a big, I wouldn't say a big, but definitely a section of fans who are like, they're the Chicago Bears. They should be downtown. It's a joke they're going to Arlington. But I think that the Bears fans who go to the games consistently, want to go to Arlington and want some things to be more accessible and just more convenient to go to games. I think that the vibe also too is that it's not a coincidence that Kevin Warren shows up and they operate like a normal NFL team, and that they fire a bad head coach in the middle of the season, and they go ahead and they look at a hot coaching candidate and say, what's your number? And they write him a blank check and they go ahead and they get him. Like, I think the vibe is like, this is kind of a bit of fiasco and it's embarrassing in a way to deal with all this stuff, but he has come in and he's operated, and they had the same damn president for 20 years in Phillips, and they didn't do a damn thing. They barely won with him. He comes in, and the fact that already they're operating like a respectable and normal franchise, I don't think is a coincidence. So he's got mixed reviews. There's to say, oh, I'm a Kevin Warren guy, I think people would look at you a little bit sideways. But then if you were to say, man, I can't stand him, I think people would be like, hey, they've done some decent things with him around already in his fairly short tenure.
I wonder how people would who they would choose as their favorite Big Ten commissioner post Delaney in the Nebraska era, Kevin Warren or Tony Petitti.
Probably Petitti.
Both don't have great Q ratings.
No,
locally or nationally.
But at least Petitti is having football games and trying to keep football around. And Warren just, man, he flubbed that. I don't think he's flubbing though the Bears stadium situation. I think he's just, I don't know if he realized just how big of a pain in the ass it is to deal with Illinois legislature. On top of that, the Bears before he got there were not in the financial position and did not necessarily have the leverage. They still got to pay off Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Like, so he's fighting an uphill battle. And I think, unfortunately, this is kind of his last trump card of the whole, we're going to move the Bears out of the state, which is wild. It's come to
Northwest Indiana. They'll have to change so many logos and gear.
Stop it.
That'll suck. All right. We're off and running. We're here till 10 on a Thursday morning. By the way, the volleyball Final Four tonight in Kansas City.
I guess I'll tune in.
TV ratings, especially from this market, I think will be strong. Could they have been stronger? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think they will still be strong. I also think you'll see quite a bit of red in Kansas City.
I think that's a
local media in
statement.
Lincoln went down to cover it.
Yeah, Chase went. Well, I think they already paid for the room and everything like that.
Well, and that's why I think like a lot of people paid for tickets and they were not cheap. And so they're like, it's 3 hours away. I'm not going to blow it. I love the sport. I'm still going to go.
Yeah, and I think too.
And you get to see Olivia Babcock from Pittsburgh and Craig Skinner, the coach of Kentucky.
I think they've always done
root against Wisconsin.
They've always done a good job.
And root against Trev.
They've always done a good job at 10-11 covering local athletes from Lincoln and Nebraska. And so that they're just continuing that.
Still feel for those people there, man. They got to work for 2 stations at one time.
They don't.
All right, we're back with more Gary and Matt after this in 1620 The Zone. All right, good Thursday morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. Good day to talk ball. This is day 8 of a run of 23 straight days of football. It is also beginning with a great Thursday game between the Rams and the Seahawks of a great run of 5 days of football that include 4 playoff games, but not the biggest game of the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's right here, baby, right? You're talking about the Bears-Packers, biggest game of the
No, non-NFL.
Did you
Oh.
not take in the 16
Not a
Ventures
fan.
Bowl last night?
No, I did not.
It's a nice
did
little game
not.
for a little bit.
There, I asked yesterday, and I think it was Sean or I researched this. So, Texas A&M and Miami are playing at noon on Saturday. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
So ESPN, because of the NFL, ESPN gets 2, and then they farm out the TNT the other 2 opening round playoff games. The nighttime game is going up against the Packers and the Bears.
Oh, geez.
Yes. So JMU and Oregon are going up, and it'll be an electric atmosphere at Autzen.
Yeah.
But they are going straight up against the Packers Bears, which will do extremely well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if James Madison gets you, unless the game gets to the fourth quarter and it's a tension convention, it gets you to go, But the playoff games this weekend, the 4, is not the game that I would want to be at. I wouldn't want to be in Norman.
Right.
Okay.
Now I'm saying I wouldn't. I think a college football playoff game, regardless of level, is a must-see experience. So I'm not saying I wouldn't want to be in Norman. I wouldn't want to be in College Station. I wouldn't want to be in Oxford.
Right. You'd go
Want to
if
be
you
in
had the
Eugene.
opportunity.
Because all 4 of those places, you will watch home playoff games on TV, and you'll be like, wow,
Yeah.
what if they ever had one in Lincoln? What that would be like.
Sure.
But if you said, okay, Sharpie, we got the Jet, we got the PJ, we're going to a game this weekend. I'm not picking any of those 4.
Where are you going to Washington State, Utah?
Nope.
I was like,
I am going to the Battle of the Wild. If I had to pick
Oh, hell
one,
yes,
if I had to
yes.
pick one game this weekend,
part 2.
I
Yeah.
am going to see Montana State to go to the FCS championship.
Let's go Grizz.
I think the ticket prices to get in, and the stadium in Missoula is, of course, much smaller, but it is picturesque. It was 50 degrees there last week when they were playing South Dakota. So it's Montana State.
Yeah.
Well, they
They
had snow
love
this
they love their football in Montana. I've been lucky enough to be in both, see a football game in both stadiums,
Yeah.
and be at 3 years ago the Battle of the Wild.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, that was when I don't know, game day was not there.
They
But
went
it
to
wa-
Missoula. I thought it was the
Yeah,
year
but
you
I
were
was
there.
no, it was the year after I
Okay.
was there.
Or not Missoula. They went to Bozeman.
Yeah, but it was the atmosphere is great. The stadium in Missoula, just
Yeah.
the picturesque, just sitting in the stadium or standing on the field, and got caught up with AJ Forbes,
Mhm.
who was playing at Montana. But if you said I got the PJ loaded, price on tickets doesn't matter. Where you going?
Yeah.
I'm going to Montana to see the Battle of the Wild this weekend over the 4 FBS FBS playoff games this weekend.
Get in price.
It's like $500, right?
Yeah, it is. The cheapest I'm seeing here is $483. And then if you want to, first off, if you want to sit like on the 50-yard line, $1,200, $1,200. If you want, and by the way, that's only on one sideline. The other sideline where you could be on the 50, none of those seats are available. None of them are available. It's all on the opposite sideline.
This is Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Balmy.
If you want
37,
to, be
partly
on
cloudy.
if you want to be on the 30-yard line, you got to pay $968. If you want to be in the back of the end zone, okay, $700 to be at that. That's awesome.
Man, that game needs snow.
That game does need snow, Jimmy. That's a great.
That's actually why I started liking Montana football as a kid, because they'd be playing in the playoff all the time, and it would be snowing in Missoula.
If you were to give me like
And that stadium's
like the top 10 games, because I'm not a well-traveled college football fan, admittingly. I just have not been to
Yet.
enough places.
yeah.
But
you'll
yeah,
get
oh
there.
yeah. But if you were to give me the top 10 like matchups, hey, top 10 games you want to go to, right? Alabama, Georgia, definitely up there. Alabama, Auburn for sure there. Michigan, Ohio State. I don't think like North Dakota State would definitely be in the top. Or sorry, North Dakota State, South Dakota State
Battle of the Marker.
would definitely be in the top 10. And then I don't know if I'm not going to act like I'm not going to be a fraud here and be like, oh, Montana State would definitely be in my top 10. Like I recently just learned about how big that rivalry is in all honesty.
But it'll get
But
there.
I will tune in and watch this game this weekend for sure. And
Grizz and the Cats this weekend.
And it's been fun to hear you talk about the rivalry. And then also, Jacob Bigelow was really, really big into the rivalry and he goes crazy about it and tweets about it all the time.
Why is he big into the rivalry?
Yeah, why?
Jacob just likes to be like the niche college football fan,
Okay.
and just likes to like.
Well, you
try and
guys are
improve
watching
ball
Texas A&M Miami. I'm watching that juggernaut over in Des Moines, Grandview play again in the NAIA final.
Is it Bigelow or
when they
Grizzolo?
played the first time, Montana State, Bigelow was tweeting about it to be like, look, I'm a niche, big time college football fan.
It was
And
pretty-
then I learned about it through him.
It was pretty cool being out there. Like the news, they led, and for the first like 20 minutes, it was all about this game and everything surrounding it, and the fans
Yeah.
and relationships, and the history of this game. Because I was remotely familiar,
Sure.
but then you see it up close and personal, and you're like, wow.
Mhm.
This is really, really cool. But the stadium in Missoula
Mhm.
is like it butts up to the mountains.
Yeah.
And if you get snow in the mountains, it looks even better. Now, I would prefer going to a game like this in August or September when it's
Sure.
nice
Right.
and sunny.
Yeah.
But people, so I remember driving to the game, and we were lucky enough we parking close to the stadium.
Yeah.
But people were walking like 2-3 miles
My God.
Healthy.
just to get there.
That's
Yeah.
ugh. I complain and I bitch and moan and whine and want my team to go 45 minutes north of the city because I have to walk a mile to the stadium.
And you want your dome.
But see, here's like with the FCS, and the
Yeah.
FCS does their playoffs well and right with 16 teams. They just keep playing.
Yeah.
There's, I'm not downplaying being excited for 4 playoff games this weekend, but you took a week. You've been
Okay.
off for 2 weeks,
I-
and it kind of sneaks up on you that, oh yeah, I remember we're supposed to root for Ole Miss because Kiffin's not there. Hey, they're going to prove everybody wrong. Hey, okay. But you take 2 weeks off and you're like, okay. And then you're right back in it, where FCS, the season ends.
Yeah.
They announce the bracket. They start playing.
Mhm.
The top seeds get buys, and they just play and play and play. And the only time they have off is when they go from this weekend in the semifinals, because the first Saturday in January now in Nashville is where their championship game is.
Yeah, they
I wonder, as things adjust in the college football calendar, if we don't have that week off. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have, because I think Army Navy ratings were down.
Uh-huh.
I think a little bit of that is about the playoff. Also, very few people this year nationally
Covered it.
talked about Army
Yeah.
Navy. Game day wasn't there, but I was watching Sports Center on Saturday morning. Very little chatter about Army Navy, more about the Heisman.
Mhm.
And the Heisman TV
Shocker.
ratings were really, really good. I think they were the best since 2012. That's the Indiana
Wow.
effect, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Indiana is the 60 minutes of college football right now. We were like, let's find out. Let's
Sure.
find out how the sausage is made. But Army Navy TV ratings were down.
Yeah.
I think all the attention is towards the playoff
Sure.
and
yeah,
the
you're right.
Heisman. And we were discussing last week, does Army Navy move earlier in the year and even to begin the year? That's a real conversation. But does college football, because you still are going to compete with the NFL Saturday night.
Mhm.
You've got a primetime game that's going head to head with a great NFL game.
Yeah.
And the NFL isn't moving off this weekend
No,
because
God, no.
because now the window is open for them to play on Saturdays.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we kick it up at least a week where we announce the bracket and then we start playing football in the playoff,
Mhm.
and somehow Saturday there's the sandwich of the afternoon game
Yeah.
leads into the Heisman Trophy presentation
I like that.
leads into the nighttime game.
So it's funny you say that because I was driving home yesterday and I was listening to college football stuff and I was like, this weekend will be good because it'll feel like we'll get back into the groove of things.
Yeah, but
You know?
it
Because I
Kinda-
feel like we're out of the
Yeah,
groove of
exactly.
things because we've just been sitting around just hypothetically theorizing what these things are
Yeah.
going to look like. And by the time, and also too, by the time Ohio State and Indiana and Texas Tech and Georgia play, the 4 teams that could actually win the national championship, it's going to be 3 weeks since we've seen them play and
Yeah.
we've been reminded how good they are. And that's part of the reason why you want to have the games consistently played, because it's like you remind yourself, oh, how enjoyable it is to watch these teams, and you want to see them progress. When you go on a 3-week break, you kind of forget a little bit about, well, hey, the Ohio State offensive line kind of struggled a little bit against Indiana. You
Yeah.
kind of forget, wow, Indiana's wide receivers, they were really able to get open down the stretch against Ohio State's corners. You kind of forget, wow, man, Texas Tech's D-line, like they are rabid and they are getting to, like, you kind of miss out, like the things that were always popping in your head from Monday through Friday to Monday through Friday through Monday through Friday about these teams disappear. And we'll get back, we'll get back into it. You know, it'll be fine. And when we get to January and the semis and we'll be all cool. But when we're talking about the season going too long, if you want to shorten the season so you don't go all the way to January 20th, these are where you make that time up. This is where you get the weeks going. So I think, though, it's a lot about the bowl games, and they don't want to take some interest, if there's really any left from a TV perspective, out of them. But you're right. And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, this is just kind of weird that like this weekend we'll be like, all right, we're back to it. Like, I don't like that.
Thanks for Ross reminding me. The offensive coordinator from Montana State is a Nebraska guy. He's from Bennington.
Oh, wow.
Who
Nice.
played at Bennington, then went to Augustana in Sioux Falls. And then he has worked his way up. Pete Sturbick, who was ironically at Grandview about 15, 16 years ago.
Okay.
And I think this is the first year he's been the OC at Montana State. He might have been I think he was at Colorado Mines.
Okay.
But yeah, the OC for Montana State is a Nebraska guy. All right, that is the Battle of the Wild. That is this weekend.
3:00.
So lots of football. ESPN 2?
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I liked seeing Trey Lance's brother last year just torch everybody in the finals. That's one of my favorite.
Weird
FCS
that there's
moments.
no semifinal weekend with South Dakota State or North Dakota State.
So weird. Illinois State, though. Go Redbirds, baby.
I know.
Come on.
Yes.
I know.
Bringing it back to Bloomington.
All right. One of those teams that used to play in that conference actually plays a bowl game tonight, Missouri State. We have more bowl games.
Yay.
Good thing for ESPN. They have a bridge to talk about the playoffs. We're back with hour 2 coming up after this. want to put a, I don't know, percentage, because as we are now fully into bowl season, another bowl game today. Hope you watched Delaware last night win a bowl game, or ODU.
Yeah.
First year in FBS for Delaware, and they won a bowl game last night. Today we get the Xbox Bowl.
Yeah, where is that? We were wondering.
Well, it's the bowl that replaced the Bahamas Bowl, which I miss. If
Have
there's
you-
a bowl game out there that I miss, it's the Bahamas Bowl.
Why?
Why not?
Oh, I will.
Were you going to go on the
No, no,
soapbox
no.
of the Bahamas Bowl?
No. The Bahamas Bowl, the last year of it, this past year, they had 4,600 people went to the game. But do you know, because this is going to lead me into the discussion about ESPN, 1.14 million people watched it on television.
Why?
So bowl games,
We love bowl games.
ESPN owns them
yeah.
because it's more of a TV product than in person.
Big time.
For not everyone, not all the bowls, but a majority of them. But it is ESPN, if they're going to own the playoff, they need something to bridge into the playoff. So they have bowl games where they can talk about the playoff. But what I was going to say, if you look at Nebraska, Utah playing at 2:30 on New Year's Eve day.
Yeah.
They by the way are going to, the bridge to the Vegas Bowl is Iowa Vanderbilt on Big ESPN.
Ooh.
Really?
Yep.
Not
That
bad.
is one hell of a bridge.
But
That's a good,
But-
by the
but-
way, that's a good ass game. Iowa Vanderbilt. That is
changed a little bit with the WWE guy that plays quarterback for Vanderbilt that wears lifts, and he's what, 5'8", but he stands 6
I had a
foot.
dream of Diego
Oh,
Pavia
boy.
last night.
Wow.
He was
I had a dream about
I
math.
had a dream
Thank
about
you.
Diego
Do you wanna-
Pavia. Yeah, he was the Bears quarterback, and
Oh.
he
Doug
replaced
Flutie again.
Oh.
and Tyson
Yeah.
Caleb got hurt. Tyson Bajan got hurt, so Pavia came into the game and he threw 2 pick sixes against the Giants. I swear to
I mean,
you.
you did have a Doug Flutie once played quarterback for the Bears, so it is possible you could have a little short guy.
Even
in a
my,
playoff game.
Even in my dreams, I'm getting pissed off about my Chicago football team. It was stupid. So yeah,
Well, it's a big week for you. I
maybe
understand.
maybe he's in my head. Maybe I dislike him so much that he's now won. He owns real estate in my brain.
People will watch that.
Future Packer.
Some people might actually root for Iowa because of him,
I
because
will.
of what he did at the Heisman Trophy. So that's the first game at 11 a.m. on New Year's Eve on ESPN. And then Nebraska-Utah play at 2:30. But what do you think the percentage of conversation will be during the Nebraska-Utah game, which the spread is 16.5? Because you know what the Vegas Bowl
Yeah.
bridge is to Ohio State against either Texas A&M or Miami.
Oh, God.
So they will spend time
Yeah.
talking about the playoff game that is to follow, probably more than Nebraska, Utah. I'm thinking
You're in the game.
that Brock Osweiler would like to talk more about saying going against A&M or Miami or Carson Beck
Sure.
or Marcel Reed
Yeah.
than talking about Dampier or JT or TJ Lateef.
So you're
So-
saying you've been warned.
Well, I think that's what they do.
Right.
Like,
No, it
that's-
is.
That is
when
what
they
do.
like even last night. So I caught a bit of the
ODU
the
South Florida.
Delaware game.
Oh wow, good for you.
Well, because I was just kind of interested. Well,
Sure.
it's also again
I
I
caught
try,
on
I try and
TV.
watch a little bit of every bowl game and
Yeah.
my confidence pools. I'm tuning in, and a great story by Delaware, and it's an entertaining game, them in Louisiana, but things started to just drift to the playoff this weekend. And that's what ESPN has.
Yeah.
These bowl games are a bridge so that they can talk about the playoff, and it sucks the attention of those games out. And I think it sucked the attention of Army, Navy, because everything is structured around the playoff. And if you're not in the playoff, unless you're a brand, you're really not a conversation. And if you're a brand and you're not in the playoff and you're a conversation, usually it's negative because, oh, you didn't make the playoff.
Sure. It's funny to me, Gary, how we kind of have theories about how ESPN thinks and how ESPN operates.
Mhm.
And we've seen in the past when you have some theories about bigger corporations like that, they try and move away from that. I feel like ESPN the last couple of years have done the opposite. We are like, man, you love the SEC and Greg Sankey has you in your back pocket and all
Yeah.
you care about is the Southeastern Conference and how they talk and how they present things and how they go about their business. They communicate to you. You're right. Sankey does have us in our back pocket and we do like the SEC and we do think
Yes.
they're all great. And we know that we make a ton of money off them. We go ahead and say, you don't care about bowl games anymore. You don't care about bowl games anymore. You've ruined bowl games. And how they communicate to you in the halftime show is, yeah. It's about, we know what makes more money. We know what the college football playoff makes more money. And we know that that's going to have the most eyes. So we're going to promote that and we're going to push that. Like it's just funny. And
so move these bowl games to the beginning of the year.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more because it would be a great kickoff to the season. But it's just part of me is like, screw you to ESPN. And part of me kind of respects it. Like part of me kind of does respect the fact that they own the fact that they are, I don't want to say that they're corrupt, but that they are serving other interests that aren't necessarily the players or the coaches or the fans. They're serving their own interest.
And they're going to continue to do it because
they will never stop.
Because the ratings for the playoff games last year were way up.
Yeah.
So they made a huge investment and they're going to sell it. So you asked me why I missed the Bahamas Bowl. Is there a bowl game that you guys miss that used to be on the regular?
Yeah, Outback.
That no longer is around?
The Outback Bowl. I miss
the real Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic.
I missed the Outback Bowl.
I missed the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
Nice.
See Jason Pierre with all the Tostitos.
And they gave everybody a bag of Tostitos when you were coming into the stadium.
Sombrero.
I kind of miss the Venture One Capital One Bowl. That was a pretty good, like the Capital One Bowl was always kind of a sneaky, like it wasn't the next best after all of the fruit and crop bowls, but it was a pretty decent one.
Capital One Bowl used to be a Florida Citrus Bowl.
Yeah.
So it was a fruit.
Oh, it wasn't fruit?
Mm-hmm.
So I love the Capital One Bowl. The Capital One Bowl, the Outback Bowl was always a weird, like
it would turn out to be good.
SEC.
Yeah, it was 11 a.m. on New Year's Day.
Yeah. And it was like, you'd always get a weird, it was either the Big Ten team was ranked and it was a mid SEC team, or the SEC team was ranked and it was a mid Big Ten team. And it never was really like the best games, but it was like, hey, like
there's a football game.
Tennessee's playing Purdue. Okay, cool. I can. That was actually a very good game. I believe that was the Outback Bowl. But you're like, I can vibe. I can kind of vibe with LSU playing Michigan State. Like that's something.
Bob says I missed the Gotham Bowl.
That's a good
cherry.
Well, they kind of Nebraska went to they were back at Yankee Stadium last year. So this is why.
Did this go to the Camellia Bowl? The Camellia Bowl? Is that still around?
No.
Okay.
The Beef O'Brady's Bowl is gone.
Is the O'Reilly Auto Parts Bowl?
That is gone.
Oh,
or it's renamed, whatever. So this is why I missed the Bahamas Bowl.
Okay.
This was a Reddit post from 8 years ago. So we took a ship down to the Bahamas to see Ohio play UAB.
That's awesome.
I asked Frank Solich about this game when he was back and they honored him. I said, hey, I got one question. Can you tell me about your Bahamas Bowl experience? And of course, in Frank terms, he was like, certainly. He loved it. He loved it. But this is from one of the times that he was down there. This guy went to the game. He goes, we brought beer right into the stadium. The locals at the gate didn't even ask to check tickets. One of them took a sip of my beer. We walked all the way around the stadium until we reached a fenced-off area. A Royal Bahamas Defense Force guard said we should check behind the fence because he doesn't know what's back there.
Yeah.
Upon walking past the fence, we ended up in the Ohio locker room. No questions were asked. This is the Bahamas Bowl 8 years ago. People are constantly walking on the athletic track around the field and chugging beer. The security forces down there just keep laughing and high-fiving everyone. One of the soldiers keeps hugging random fans. There's a native family in front of me, literally braiding each other's hair. They told me they have no clue about how football works. They just want to have a good time. One of them offered to braid my hair. My hair is 3 inches long. They were doing a T-shirt toss, and one of the Bahamian families here straight up jumped 3 rows down into a group of fans just to grab a T-shirt. They ended up getting 2. A drunk fan just walked onto the sideline and high-fived a player. He then high-fived a Royal Bahamian Defense Force soldier when walking back. The soldier couldn't stop laughing. There's like 20 entrances to this stadium, and only like 10 of them are guarded. Literally anyone could walk in here. They have one working scoreboard, and instead of showing the clock, it's the ESPN feed, so you can barely see the score and clock on the bottom right corner. Whoever's in charge of the music can't decide the volume. He tried playing Believer and adjusted the volume up and down around 4 times before giving up. There hasn't been any music since. And For these reasons, I urge that the playoff committee consider hosting the national championship here. It would be a terrible idea, but everyone would have a great time. I know the locals are. I love this place.
That's the football's version of the Waste Management Open right there.
Yeah, you would watch this game because it would be a morning game.
Yeah.
The field looked terrible.
You don't.
It looked like it was like a track stadium.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this guy went to Reddit 8 years ago, and I fell in love with the Bahamas Bowl, and now it's replaced by, so it no longer exists. They're out of the Bahamas. It's the Xbox Bowl that was introduced tonight.
So I feel like in the last 4 years, we've really embraced just kind of stupidity and dumb things, and we call it but we don't call it
brother from one end to the other. Yes,
I don't think though we call it stupidity anymore. We call it silly goose time. We just we love silly goosery. If this were happening today, this was happening in 2016, not a lot of people knew about it. Or not enough people knew about it, obviously. If this were happening today with social media and that story and everything, the Bahamas Bowl would be sold out every single year. People would flock to the Bahamas to be a part of that experience, to walk on the track, to drink all those beers, to high five the Royal Bahamian. It would be the Waste Management Open of football. So thank God it doesn't exist anymore, because that would be that would be a zoo.
Here is Jerry. Good morning, Jerry.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you? Happy Merry Christmas.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
So I think the obvious answer is the Hawaii Bowl. I don't know if you remember that. That was on. It used to be on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I wanted to tease Matt a little bit, but he might not remember that. So Christmas Day, and then it was on Christmas Eve. There was some pretty intense games. I always enjoyed watching it because it was a lot of fun. It felt like bowl season to me. Hawaii was always pretty intense. They had some I feel like I remember a brawl one time. I don't know if that was Christmas Eve or that was
Jeep
that was
Eagle Aloha Bowl.
Yeah,
there you go. So it was a good time.
Yep.
Thank you guys. Merry Christmas. Take care,
Jerry. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you as well.
Aloha Bowl was a big 8 bowl.
I'll tell you why I know
it was.
I'll tell you why.
KU would play in there a lot with Chip Hillary as a quarterback.
I know plenty about the Hawaii Bowl because my former colleague Jack Mitchell loves the Hawaii Bowl. Loved it. And was a Hawaii Bowl historian. And anytime we would get into bowl season and we'd have these conversations about how they don't matter anymore, he would reminisce about the days of the Hawaii Bowl being on Christmas or Christmas Eve and just watching the game. And so
he could talk to Glenn Mason, who is a 2-time Aloha Bowl champion. Now, there's also a part of Kansas history involving the Aloha Bowl. Now, this is where Nebraska was so good that our bowl destinations were boring. You were either in the Fiesta Bowl or the Orange Bowl.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I do miss. So I was lucky enough at the tail end to go to the Orange Bowl in the old Orange Bowl. There was nothing like it.
Right.
Because you were scared for your life once you parked your car and were walking to the stadium. And then once you were in the stadium, you were scared for your life. But there was just something about looking at the open end of the Orange Bowl and you could see into downtown Miami. And it was like, oh, I've seen that on Miami Vice. But the old Orange Bowl, if you ever had an opportunity, because the place was a dump. Yeah. Okay. The seats were tight. The concessions were brutal. The concourses were small. Yeah. But there was just an aura of it when you would look up and the signage would say Orange Bowl. So I do, because then in 97, when Nebraska played in the Orange Bowl at the current home of the Dolphins, it had no...
It was sterile.
It was very sterile.
Yeah.
But if you remember Jimmy as a KU guy, so when Glenn Mason almost left KU and they went to the Aloha Bowl, and everybody out there was convinced that that would be his last game.
This was 95, yeah.
Yes, and
he was going to Georgia.
On Christmas Eve, he told everybody that he was staying at KU.
Wow.
But the programming, it was either going to be, that game was going to be on Christmas Eve or, was it mostly Christmas Eve? Because
the Aloha was usually Christmas Day at 2:30, and then the Hawaii Bowl became
because they had the Blue-Gray game.
Yes.
The Blue-Gray game kicked off your Christmas morning,
All-Star
and
game.
then they went into a bowl game, and the NFL never played on Christmas, or they didn't back then.
And then you'd have your NBA games,
Yeah, then the NBA games would take over, and the NBA would be like a 4 o'clock, then a nighttime game.
Bulls,
they didn't have wall-to-wall NBA like they do now.
You know, I love the NFL. I'm an NFL honk, but like I might prefer that over the NFL. I don't know, man. I don't know if I love that every like the NFL owns every holiday nowadays, and they're on every single like big event. Like I kind of liked I kind of enjoyed the like marquee days where you don't have to watch the Cowboys play some mid-ass team. You know,
I watch that 17 weeks a year.
I know. Well, you
It's
play
not
some
fun.
good teams.
Well, actually, the Cowboys are
Well,
the mid-ass
look at
team.
this year. People that follow the ratings business think that the NBA is going to inch into the NFL because all of a sudden the NFL Christmas Day schedule has become very muh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have Denver and Kansas City playing, but Kansas City's eliminated. Mahomes is not playing, and that's the
Minshew
nighttime
mania.
game on Christmas night.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas is playing. Isn't Dallas Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then aren't the
Yeah.
Vikings playing?
Yeah, Vikings. and-
Vikings Lions?
it is it will be
Ravens
No,
or-
Texans no. I'm sorry, guys. It's Broncos, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings,
Mhm.
Cowboys, Commanders.
Okay.
Those are the three
So
games.
all of a sudden, you've got essentially outside of two teams that are going to be playoff, everybody is eliminated. So the NBA,
Yeah.
which has Luka
Mhm.
and it has Oklahoma City, San Antonio playing.
Oh yeah, we hate them.
What the NBA, because they got trounced last year.
They did. So they actually have
They're-
a really good one. They
Yeah,
got Cavaliers, Knicks, which is going to be great. They
Mhm.
have Spurs, Thunder.
Yeah, which we're going to get reminded though. The NFL, regardless of bad records,
Undefeated.
is undefeated.
Yeah.
That the NFL still will do well
You're-
on Christmas.
No, oh God, you two.
I'll watch the
you two are
Cowboys and I'll
totally
watch
right.
the Chiefs.
And I'm going to watch those games too. I'm not going to act. I'm not acting as if I'm not going to watch those games. I'm acting though as if I kind of love like when we're in April and like it just like you have a golf tournament on and there's like that's the big deal for the weekend. Or
Yeah.
we're in the summer, it's like, hey, this is the US Open weekend. Like I love the NFL and I love the product, but I just think that sometimes it's great when we have marquee sports days that don't
you get a
include them.
break, and then you get your football
Yeah,
on
you get a
Sunday
little bit of a
and
break,
Saturday.
and then you sit down and you're like, man, I'd love an NFL game right now, you know. And then it kind
That's
of
how it used to be. It was great.
and you like it makes you wanting more. Like the schedule you just laid out, a bunch
Yeah.
of like just kind of just random, you know, Hawaii Bowl, Aloha Bowl, the Blue Gray game. Like I feel like we're missing a little bit of those novelty events nowadays in sports. Like we're eliminating them more and more.
Blame it on the
because of
NFL.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
But we consume the NFL. So as long as we continue to consume
And
the
we won't
NFL,
stop.
they're going to put games on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're challenging college football Saturday night.
Well, you know, but I push back just a little bit on that. I mean, they are
Yeah.
right, because they're competing against one another. But that's always been the NFL has always been in that spot. It's not as
But
if
the college football came and played in that spot.
yes, and so but what I'm kind
So
of
you look at the matchups. I mean, they
they
flex the game.
they
to,
did
yeah.
flex that game. Oh no,
So,
they
yeah.
knew what they were doing in terms of the matchup, but in terms of like, I don't want anyone to think, oh my God, like the NFL is invading on
Yeah.
college football territory. No, the NFL is way before the playoff and before these games. They've owned that
It's their first
spot.
Saturday that they can play on
But-
Saturday.
But you're right. They didn't have to.
I did used
put-
to love the Saturday games. You
They-
get 2 games in the day.
They didn't have to put the biggest Chicago Bears game in 14 years in that slot. They didn't have to, and they decided to.
That game in
and they looked
Let's
at
go.
okay, college football playoff. I mean, that's so yeah, college football is actually kind of smart. They're like, why would we put Texas A&M, Miami up
Oh.
against an NFL game? 'Cause
I'm-
that NFL game is bigger. The stakes of and also the Packers Bears that'll draw eyeballs. Period is bigger than a
Any-
college football game, and it'll probably I don't know. There's a ton of interest to watch JMU Oregon play.
No, that spread is 21.5.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not opposed to JMU and Oregon and Ole Miss and Tulane, but I want to watch those games in September. I don't want to watch them in December. But in September, I am wall to wall watching those games.
Yeah.
But a couple of months later, nah, I'm good.
I'm okay watching one of those games. Like I'm totally fine with watching, without a doubt, hands down, the best G5 team play a Power 4 team in the playoff. I'm fine with watching one of them. I'm not fine with watching two of them. I'm not.
Greg says I missed the Astro Blue Bonnet Bowl
That's a good one.
down in Houston. Chris says I missed the Belk Bowl and the conversation they had on Twitter with Fo Pelini.
I believe
They-
that's what became the Duke's Mayo Bowl, though.
Yes, played in Charlotte. It always
But they get
seems
an upgrade.
hey, it always seems like it's drizzling
41.
and it's cold and like cold comparison to Charlotte that time of the year.
You know, it's funny. I always sometimes when we have these combos, I think in 15 years, when I'm, if I'm talking with someone else, like, what will my answers be to these questions? I think the Duke's Mayo Bowl will be the man. Do you remember when PJ Fleck just got dumped with a tub of mayo after they went what 8-5 again or 7-5 again for like the 4th year in a row?
They
Who'd
used to
beat
have
last year?
bowls.
Who did they beat last year in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. What a forgettable football game. I remember watching it.
They usually are.
I
but
was at
we
Horseshoe
watch for the
Casino
mail.
watching it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Checks that. It's a great place to watch games. Just because you go to the casino does not mean you have to gamble.
It's food.
It's free. There's free Diet Cokes.
Mhm.
Well, actually, Diet Pepsis.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve King, who I saw last night. They beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Totally.
This year is Mississippi State Wake Forest.
Well, Wake Forest actually had a sneaky good year in the ACC.
But-
they made some waves and they screwed over SMU.
But they have
win.
the one thing that they do that is unique is they don't play until January 2nd.
Damn. Okay. So they might be standalone-ish.
Well, and there's no
That's a
there-
Friday, January
Yes.
2nd.
There is no NFL games.
Yeah. So they are standalone.
Yeah, so they are standalone. So it's actually not a bad idea to go after Christmas and after the first of the year.
You know, it's funny when you
Because
look.
they usually that's where since they like the last couple of years, like last year Minnesota Virginia Tech, I think was like on the 3rd. It was after basically everybody had kind of
we were back from vacation. It's funny, you go back and you look at like weird games that had nothing to do with teams in the playoff that actually majorly affected teams in the playoff, and that Wake Forest SMU game actually like was a pretty big deal, because if Wake Forest doesn't win that game, SMU is then ranked, and then SMU beats Miami. And then we probably look at like that loss to Miami a little bit differently. And then it might have shifted Notre Dame versus Alabama as opposed to Notre Dame versus Miami, which then maybe Notre Dame would have gotten in if you went face to face with Alabama's resume as opposed to going face to face with Miami's resume.
When we come back, good point. When we come back, I know a lot of people are waiting for Nebraska to select the defensive line coach. I'm waiting for something else that I would like actually to see Nebraska do. That was not alluded to by their head coach last night when he showed up on his radio show with his hat backwards, and the college football world lost their mind.
I didn't see any message board hero things on it. Were there Hall of Fame comments?
I clicked on one from they tweeted out the clip, which you can see he's wearing a backwards hat. That's not the discussion. He was talking about Dylan and his quarterback room. And one of the first replies was, "Stop doing podcasts. Be serious."
By the way, Cowherd definitely going to get a hold of that thing.
Yep.
For sure. And then he's going to read, just saying, 5 and 7 year 1, 6 and 7 year 2, 7 and 5 year 3.
Yeah.
Matt Rule since 2019 hasn't had a regular season over 500 until this year. Look at the hat, folks.
It's a good thing that Cowherd is not carried in this market. All right, we're back with more of Gary and Matt after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, Sarah Baker Hansen, Steve Sipple, Brian Edwards, all to join the party on a Thursday with all of you, and you can chat with us on the 1620 The Zone hotline. It is the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Also, each week we're going to be giving away a $100 gift card to the Sky Bar and Grill over there at Prairie Flower Casino. Every time I go over there and dine, I see improvements. The food is really, really good. The service is fantastic, and you could win a $100 gift card to the Sky Bar and Grill. Just go to 1620thezone.com and you'll have a chance to win that. So last night, Matt Rule was on his own radio show. Good information. He handled the Dylan situation well.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to crush Dylan, and then he was like, no, I can't. And then he had the emotion of Dylan. So he wrapped it up well. He did kind of what I thought he would do, and we're on to the next quarterback. But I wish he would have done something else.
Okay.
Because this is more from the curiosity of yours truly. And we are NFL light, correct?
We're getting there. We might
Okay.
as well be there.
So USC is doing something that needs a little context. Every year you re-sign your scholarship papers. And you know, there's also the agreement, some of the other NIL stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But USC is doing this. They are treating this like NFL free agency. And you see guys that are returning, like Maeva yesterday said he's coming back. They sent out a picture of him signing.
Yeah.
So they are giving the intention on the heels of having the number one recruiting class. We are an NFL program.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you know that every year you have to sign your scholarship paper,
Yeah.
kids that are on their social media are seeing, my God, they're paying a bunch of people. What's going on at USC? If you're a USC fan, you like it because then you can start to confirm who's staying and going. Now, they lost a dude at wide receiver who's going to the NFL yesterday.
Makai, yeah.
I kind of wish, because we have questions about certain guys on this roster, whether it be a Carter Nelson,
Yeah.
a Ja'Cory Barney,
Yeah.
maybe some other guys. I actually would kind of like to have just some confirmation, or now I can move forward and I can adjust my man cave 105 plus roster scholarship distribution chart that I have in the man cave. I wish Nebraska would have like a signing ceremony so we know who's staying, and then we can move forward.
And then we could kind of, you could piece together what the roster might look like. And like for the fans, you might more accurately be like, oh, you need this and you need that. It's funny.
Well, and the speculation.
Oh, sure.
And you can kind of, make it like, ooh, man, they're handing out a lot of money. What's Rule's number?
Well, it's funny you say that about the USC thing, about them signing. Yesterday, what went under the radar is one of their tight ends went into the portal, Walker Lyons, who was actually a pretty big part of that team. And I see Walker Lyons enters the transfer portal, and immediately in my head, Gary, I think, oh, casualty of the cap. It's like clearly they're paying all these guys, they're signing all these guys. They had to look around and be like, sorry, Walker, we don't got room for you. We're gonna bring in some young kid to take your spot. Which, by the way, Walker Lyons wouldn't be like, if Nebraska needs another tight end, and maybe they're some guys in Ames that they don't end up getting, like Walker Lyons could be a pretty good pickup for the Huskers.
What's Ben Bramer doing over in Ames?
So there it is.
Has he announced that he's going into the draft, or is he going to come back? Has he had a re-signing ceremony, or is he going to be in the portal?
I am looking here. Ben,
because he's a Sunday guy.
There was a
former Pierce Blue Jay.
There are no updates on Ben Bramer right now. If you go to his 24/7 page, it still says that he is a part of the Iowa State roster. So
because since they're not playing in a bowl game,
they're not playing in a bowl game.
And they already have got, like there's a few local guys that have decommitted that were headed, they were going to be the Nebraska clones.
Sure.
By the way, somebody's going to get a steal. Barry Freeze at Elkhorn North, who was supposed to go to Iowa State, decommitted.
Mm-hmm.
They let him out of his scholarship. Somebody's going to get a nice pickup with him, linebacker from Elkhorn North.
So Bramer, I'm looking on the mock draft database, doesn't have really like a rating or any sort of. Now, granted, we are 100 and I believe 17 days away from the NFL draft.
But what are we, about a month from you have to declare? Middle of January usually?
Yeah, I think it's January. I think it's the same time as the transfer portal window is when you have to declare. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I think I can look that up easily. But Here, if you go to his ADP, he doesn't really have an ADP either. So I don't know what his. I would have to probably look at Kuiper to see if he's on his tight end board, but that's a position that Nebraska's probably going to have to go and address, and he'd be a hell of a pickup for them. Or Walker Lyons.
But you see where I'm coming from.
so
Like,
I
there's
see-
some guys that you go, okay, I think they're coming back, but it'd be like some.
Wouldn't it be
like
nice if
some rest assurance that they are coming back, that they have a signing ceremony.
So wouldn't it be nice if Keona Davis, like they did that with him, where it's like you're not thinking, like no one's really thinking Keona's going to enter the portal, and Keona has made himself a pretty good spot. But you would like the solace of like, hey, we don't have to worry about a surprise. You would like Williams Winery to put pen to paper, right? You would enjoy it if, you know what? Here's a big one. If Justin Evans, was signing a contract, you're like, oh my God, they kept him. He's not, he's coming back for another year. Like I think,
but those guys I know are coming back. Like,
would you? Well,
but they're like I mentioned Nelson and Barney because those are the two that you ask about the most, especially like Carter Nelson. Okay, it's been a slow start. I know there was an injury involved, but he how are they going to use him? But then Barney is one. I don't think Barney is a happy-go-lucky guy that just there were too many times this past year where he didn't seem happy, and he got dinged up early in the year, and I think it limited him.
Mm-hmm.
But there would be a guy that would be, okay, he's coming back. We don't have to worry about that. We can move on to the next guy, and then wonder, should Nebraska go back down the path of Omarion Miller, who was Colorado's leading wide receiver, who is now in the portal, who Nebraska has had a lot of the Matt Rule era dabbled with him before he ended up at Colorado. I just, I mean, you might laugh at it and go, US. Actually, as a fan perspective, it gives you kind of like, okay, we don't have, when January 2nd pops up and we don't have access to see who's in the portal, all of a sudden that's not a surprise because back during bowl season, they sign that they're coming back.
So you're totally right. And the confidence and excitement it might bring you for next season definitely like relates to fans. Now, when you're talking about like Nelson and Barney and them like signing the papers, like that actually has to happen. Like they actually have to like, come back and sign. Like those things actually have to occur, right? I think for USC, it's not necessarily as much about messaging to fans and messaging to and actually like fully, hey, we're trying to re-sign this guy and we almost lost him and we got him back. I think it's just kind of how you read it to begin with. I think it's just always be Cruden, right? I think it's just sending a message to recruits more than anything. And I think it's sending a message to the rest of college football of, hey, we're not afraid to adapt to the new times of college football. We're not afraid to admit, hey, this is the pros. Hey, this is NFL light. Hey, we are an NFL team. We're not shying away from that. And I think that messaging, they might use that for recruits could be like, hey, they're still trying to do things the old school way. They're still trying to do things that, no, this is new school college football. And we are the new school program. I don't know if Nebraska necessarily is trying to relay that message like USC is trying to relay that message. But I think if you're just looking at it from a fan,
USC is not the only one. There are other schools that are having signing ceremonies with current players.
Yeah, I think if Nebraska did it, I would have no problem. But there would be, you'd have no issue.
You start to mute some of the noise about, is that guy going to stay or not?
Big time. But there also would be the old school fan.
I don't care. The old school fan is John here that says Matt Rule looks like a dumbass when he's wearing his hat backwards during his radio show.
Yeah, you do. I mean,
the old school fan should be more concerned about, is this guy that wears his hat frontwards, backwards, going to be able to move the football program forward? Thank you.
But Nebraska football does have a lot of old school fans, and I think that there are times.
Does.
Oh yeah, but I think that there are times
are changing.
That they might have.
Times are changing. Those old school fans, we used to always enjoy going to the Orange Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl. Now we're going to the Vegas Bowl as a 16.5 point underdog. Things are changing. Times are changing.
I'm not a fan of catering to the old school fan if it means that you're stuck in the past, right? And if this is the future,
I'm all for catering to good football. Okay, and the program moves forward. I don't care if you're old, you're young, or you're no longer with us. Okay, I like football moving forward. So watching Rule last night with his backwards hat, does he look like he's put on weight?
Yes.
You know why?
I thought that immediately.
Because you know what? Matt Rule and the rest of that program, this is now my read. And I may be so far off, but I think I'm spot on. They got fat and happy after UCLA. That's the 2025 season. That program got fat and happy after UCLA. They lost their quarterback, and they came close to beating USC. Then they had, oh my God, we have a brand new quarterback. We don't have Dylan. We don't have Dylan. We don't have Dylan. We're going to the Rose Bowl. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And they won a football game, and everybody was excited. Remember how they celebrated on the field? And I'm not against that. You should celebrate every victory because winning is hard. But guys, like going into a bye week, we got to 7, man. We won a game without Dylan, okay? People thought we couldn't do it. We went on the road and won another game. We held on to win. Man, Emmett looked great. Hey, take me too. I want to go to the Golden Corral, okay? Somebody open up the Old Country Buffet because I'm coming back to Lincoln, and I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
And I think they got fat and happy after UCLA. And you know what? They lost their focus because then that week got a little bit wonky, okay? They have the discussion with the Raiolas about Dayton. All of a sudden, Dayton decommits.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a bye week, but man, we're talking about TJ. And now we got Penn State. Penn State's struggling, man. Have you seen them?
They
don't even
used
have
all
head
their
football
bullets
coach.
against Indiana.
Okay.
They're tired. They didn't win
So-
that game. They're distraught. What are they playing for?
So got fat and happy, feeling good. All right,
Yeah,
here we
yeah,
go.
yeah. Then they got hit in the mouth.
And then they got crushed for 2 straight games. And I'm listening to Rule a couple of times since then. I think what happened last year at the end of the year, they got fat and happy because it's comfortable at times to be a Nebraska football player. And also they're saying, we're 1-1 in the month of November.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
Yeah,
Why don't you
yeah,
finish
yeah.
1-3? It can be very easy to be a football coach and a player at Nebraska and get really, really comfortable. Well, some people shine and some people grow when they are made uncomfortable, okay, and how you act when you're squeezed. So they got fat and happy and like, we're going to Penn State. And just go back, and if you think I'm off here, I want you to listen to some of the stuff that was said post Penn State and post Iowa. Because then I'm listening to Rule last night, and I think, and this is the transition, and we discussed ad nauseum Matt Rule being a CEO. I think Matt Rule was too much CEO. Because if you listen to the transition, everything is about energy.
Yeah.
Coaches that aren't here couldn't recruit, they couldn't develop, but they didn't have energy. And they've been replaced by guys that have energy. So if you're the guy that's in charge of the program and you see problems with energy, first and foremost, you can't all of a sudden go on the waiver wire and pick up guys.
Yeah.
But if you see energy issues, that is your job
Bang.
to step in and figure it out. And they didn't. And I think he was too much of a CEO because here's another step that last night that led me to like, who just got a black shirt during bowl prep?
I didn't. Who?
Riley Van Poppel. Riley Van Poppel
see
was
that.
not playing the right position this past year. He'll play the right position moving forward,
Yeah.
but he brings up after Iowa, we just didn't have the energy. Matt Rule now is working with the defensive lineman. Riley Van Poppel has a black shirt. Too much CEO at the end of 25. Because if you're a defensive line guy. You're a defensive guy.
Gary,
You see this
Gary.
unfolding. Your ass is on the line. You're not getting fired,
Yeah.
but your job is to win football
Yeah,
games.
Gary.
And if you see it in real time, what prevented you
Yeah.
from stepping up and saying, okay, I got to help my young defensive line coach? Why did they let this go that it ended up in a 7-5 season? And we're looking around and I'm going, I know Nebraska has money, but why would a
okay.
quarterback come here when you don't know who the running back is? You don't know who all the wide receivers. I just too much CEO, got too fat and happy post UCLA. I hope they learned the lesson.
Maybe, look, I think my evaluation of the points that you just made and the evaluation of the things at the end of the season, and honestly, things that happened before the beginning of the season, is that I think there are times that Matt Rule trusts his own evaluations, in particularly of coaches, too much.
But that's okay. And that's good
But-
for the first 8-9 months. But when we're in the heart of the
You
season,
got to go at it. You got to fix that. You got to take it.
Yeah.
It starts with you, Gary. What you are essentially saying is it begins at the top. It starts with the head
Yes.
man. And if there are questions of effort, and if there are questions of communication, and there are questions of assignments, yeah, it's like other coaches are coaching those positions, but everything's on you. Everything's on your shoulders. You get all the credit in the world, and you get all the blame. And he deserves that blame. He deserves it.
Doesn't it give you the picture that people were territorial and you didn't want to step on
But you should. But it's
yeah.
your territory.
I know.
It's nobody else's. You are Mufasa, okay? If somebody is acting up in the animal kingdom, you are the lion. You got to go over there and say, "Hey, Terry, these guys aren't playing the way that I need them to play. I need you. You know what? Let me put on my backwards hat in week 5 after the Michigan game where everybody got blown up for 60 minutes. And let me be Coach Matt right now and tell you, hey, this is what you got to do here. And this is what you got to do here. And hey, John, we are not in a system where we just go, oh, you're not Von Miller. No, you got to put this guy here and move this guy here. And I think that there are just times, and he proved it with Ed Foley. He proved it with this. Ed Foley's the delay in Ed Foley's firing will always stick with me because it was a proof of something that I think we've always kind of seen with Matt Rule, and that is at times he can be stubborn. There are just moments that, and I'm not saying he's an overall stubborn guy, but there are moments where Matt Rule can be stubborn, and there are moments where Matt Rule does not want to admit that maybe some of his decisions were wrong. And he has, and credit to Matt Rule, he has fired some guys that he's hired and he has made some adjustments, but there are times where it's taken too long. Like you let things play out too far before you decided, hey, we got to make this decision and we have to make this change. And it's one of those things where if you were seeing those problems on the D line and you weren't doing those things, or you're seeing problems with those energies, you were trusting too much that the guys that you put your belief in were going to turn it around. And at that point, to your point, he should have been the one that says, let me flip it.
You just used a key word that maybe Rule trusted this team too much.
Yes.
And he trusted people that were working for him too much.
And I think at times that, like,
but you are overseeing everything. I mean, you are,
okay.
It's not like, like you didn't see the defense for a week and then they showed up on Saturday and you're like, I mean, you were involved in all of this as an overseer of a CEO. Because I mean, great that Riley Van Poppel has responded and that he has gotten a black shirt, because we wondered why he didn't have a black shirt last year when the year began, but he had a single number.
Yeah, that made no sense.
It just very odd ending to the last month of the season after getting to 7 wins and then saying things like, I didn't see this coming.
The one thing, though, is that
Penn State.
I think at times they just trust their ability to develop players a little too much, and which is why they didn't properly address the D line. Right? They didn't go out and get a big D line transfer last year, which you clearly needed, because they go, oh, we're going to develop them. We're great developers, so we don't have to worry. We're gonna, they're gonna be hell on wheels. They're gonna be great. We're gonna develop them, and they did it. And like, I think there are times where you gotta evaluate players on your team, and you have to evaluate guys in the transfer portal. But more importantly, Gary, I think the lesson that Matt Rule's learned this offseason is you got to evaluate yourself and you got to evaluate your coaching staff. Because if you don't have those proper evaluations and you don't have those proper skills, then you are not going to be the program that you're trying to build this program to be.
All right. A little bit later, Sarah Baker Hansen will join us, Steve and M. Sipple as well on 1620 The Zone. All right, congratulations, Iowa Western. Scott Strohmeyer and the Reavers won a national championship again, third time in 4 years. Beat Hutchinson Community College last night in Canyon, Texas. Then they flew home right after the game. They got great facilities.
Wow.
They're flying chartered flights. They're winning championships. Must be good to be at Iowa Western. Their facilities, by the way, really, really good. I know not all junior college facilities are nice. Iowa Western, and it helps the Kinneys, the older and the younger that have both been presidents, Dr. Kinney, are all in on football at Iowa Western. So that's why Scott Strohmeyer has been there for 17 years. So congratulations to Stroh and the Reavers. And Josh Hodson probably will be hammered when he gets in here for Connor Happer show coming up at 10. But he gets another ring, and we celebrate another championship right here in the Big O. Chris writes into the Equitable Bank inbox, where they take banking personally. The bowl game, about memories. I miss the Bahamas Bowl. We have Blue Bonnet Bowl out there. We have the Belk Bowl that is out there. We have the Orange Bowl played at the Real Orange Bowl
Yes.
that is out there.
Cotton Bowl at the real.
I
Cotton
don't
Bowl.
think they play a bowl game anymore at the new site of the Orange Bowl, which is the home of the Marlins. They used to play a game.
Right, for a couple years.
Yeah, they don't play that game anymore. But Chris writes in, the bowl game stories mentioned earlier got me thinking about a funny football moment of mine. As a kid, my uncle had front row seats to the Iowa Barnstormers.
Shout out Kurt Warner.
Arena football team played at
Yes.
Vets Auditorium. During the game, the quarterback threw a dart to the sideline, missed the open receiver, and hit me directly in the face with the
Oh,
football.
my God.
Aw.
Well, how is this a memory? I
Whoa.
took it in stride, but later the quarterback came over and told us we'd have someone take us down to the field after the game. After the game, I got to sign football and pictures with that quarterback and a tour of the locker room. Yes, that quarterback was Kurt Warner.
Great Kurt
Wow.
Warner.
Yeah.
Shout out
So
Hy-Vee.
Chris is going to search for a picture of him and Kurt Warner with Chris sporting a black eye.
Did you see that movie that they made about Kurt Warner?
I
I
did.
saw it happen.
I
in real
have,
time.
there are two football movies that I've yet to watch.
What, you haven't seen the
They're on-
Kevin James, Sean Payton
That's
movie?
the one I was talking about.
I
Yeah,
know.
those are two on the list.
Are they on the
They're a little bit
is
further
Leah
down.
is the
Remini in
Kevin
that
James,
movie?
Sean Payton movie really on the list?
Yeah, right there with the Kurt Warner.
Yeah, it's. I think it's actually right under your 18th rewatch of Remember the Titans, and probably your 37th rewatch of Rudy. Which, by the way,
Remember,
I watch Radio. Radio's a football movie.
Necessary Roughness.
Joe
better football
Montana.
movie.
Have you guys seen the interviews about Joe Montana talking about Rudy? How he just like straight up hates him.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people
Yeah.
that Rudy became bigger than Rudy.
Well, that was a great team. That was an awesome Notre Dame football
Yeah,
team
but-
that beat the snot out of
But then
everybody.
He's also
but then
very
the real
offside.
Rudy started doing media tours, and
Started taking the shine away from players. And players couldn't like that.
yeah,
Yeah, that
and
makes sense.
he got a little pushback.
Okay. But it's funny with Joe. I just see they just pop up now on Instagram of Joe Montana being
Yeah.
like, yeah, he was a twerp.
That's a word that doesn't get enough
Yeah,
run
I know, he was
anymore.
just,
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
he's a small guy. We gave him a bunch of crap.
Thanks to Pat, who dropped us a little nugget. We were mentioning earlier the Battle of the Wild, which is played this weekend. That if you were going to go to one playoff game in college football this weekend, we would load up the PJ and go to Missoula instead of going down to see our good friend Trev, or go to Norman, which
I've been there. I'll do Missoula instead.
that'd be pretty cool. I mean, all the atmospheres would be really cool, but
Yeah.
there's nothing like the Battle of the Wild. Pete Sturbick is in his first year as the OC quarterback coach at Montana State. His dad coached at Bennington. Pete went to Glenwood over in Iowa, where Larry coached until Pete's senior year. And then Pete finished his high school. He was a rail splitter. He went to Des Moines Lincoln. Wow. And then he went to Augustana up in Sioux Falls. So thank you, Pat, for sharing that.
The rail splitters?
Yeah, it's the Lincoln Rail Splitters. They play they're
Wait, is this an 8-man arena football?
no. It's
Okay.
Des Moines Lincoln. It's a Des Moines public school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
kind of on the
Des-
it's kind of on the south side of Des Moines.
Des
but
Moines
actually,
hyphen Lincoln?
no, it's just Des Moines Lincoln.
Okay.
So it'd be like north. We don't say Omaha North in the town. We say north. So if we were doing the show on KXNO,
Yeah.
we would just talk about Lincoln.
Oh.
So it's the Lincoln Rail Splitters. They are on the
Gosh.
south side of Des Moines.
Okay.
Which, by the way, old Sharpie here, as a senior in high school, went 2 for 3 on their field.
Hell yeah.
We won a road game against Lincoln. Actually, we split a doubleheader. But their basketball gym was fantastic. It was a roundhouse,
Nice.
and it was one of the rare, when I was in high school, one of the rare high school gyms that did not have baskets that came from the ceiling because it was so large.
Yeah.
They couldn't do that. So they had the regular standard baskets
Big
that you
time.
see now that you roll out.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
push-out basket.
It was pretty cool in there.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I got to take you to my old high school when we do the Northwestern game next
The
season.
tour of McMaster.
You would
Can't
love
wait.
the Don Dome. You would like it. It's a sunk-in gym court. You know, it's nice box. It's got a capacity of 3,000 people. You'd walk it. It's built like an Indiana basketball court.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd enjoy it. I'm tired. You're smiling right now, like I'm being an idiot. I'm telling you right now, the Don Dome is actually a gem of Illinois high school basketball.
Heard a lot about it.
No, you haven't. You haven't heard about it until I just
Speaking of
told
your
you.
Northwestern Wildcats, there's rumors of a big time slot for their opener to Ryan Field. Looks like the Big Ten schedule now won't be released until next month
That's crazy.
for this upcoming year. I guess USC Notre Dame is still trying to figure out where that game's going. All right, we've got 2 more hours to go on a Thursday with all of you in a town that has a champion in Iowa Western. And a program that we talk about and follow that has a coach that wears a backwards hat like Steve Buscemi in Kid Rock or in 30 Rock.
What's up, you fellow kids?
It was a really good cameo.
I no, it's a legendary meme.
Yes. Now, will the head coach be a meme?
Yes, he already is.
Is that a good thing?
No,
Are being a meme good?
it's being
Bear K!
Being a meme is great when you're 10-2. I want to be all the memes when I'm 10
I
and
want to
2.
be the Bear K meme. I don't want to be a Sharon Moore meme.
You are the Burkay meme.
Love that guy.
You started the Bear Cave.
Love
memes.
that guy. All right, we love all of you, and we'll continue the conversation because maybe we need a commitment ceremony when we come back on 1620 The Zone. All right, day 8 of 23 in a row of football. Great NFL game tonight. The Rams are in Seattle to take on the Seahawks, two teams that are 11-3. I think Seattle is a slight favorite in this game.
They're 1.5 point favorite tonight.
Prime time, Sam Darnold.
Over under is 42.5 between the two squads.
That'll be a great game to kick off a really interesting week in the NFL of important games, whether it be your Bears and Packers, Patriots and the Ravens are playing. Monday Night Football game's not bad. The Niners and the Colts. You got Tampa Bay is at Carolina.
That's a massive one.
Who would have thought that would be a super important game?
Loser gets fired. Cincinnati versus Miami.
I think
You got a hunch that Zach Taylor ain't going anywhere. I don't know.
And I
man.
also think
It's the Browns.
because of
Not the
what's
team.
going to happen in 26 with Tua and your cap situation, they may let their current head coach stay and figure it out. And if he doesn't, then they can have a fresh slate in 27 as Tua got benched. Not only benched, he's the number 3 quarterback for the Dolphins behind Zach Wilson.
Welcome to New Orleans, Tua Tagovailoa. Congratulations. He'll go to NOLA, and the New Orleans Saints fans will convince everybody, hey, he's our long-term fix for quarterback. We're going to be fine.
He's the next Bobby Aver.
That way they can draft Arvell Reese or Reuben Bain or Caleb Downs, so they can take a stud defensive guy and nobody will blink an eye at it. And then when Tua fails in New Orleans, they'll be ripe for the picking to go and draft Arch Manning. Oh my God.
I
what
like
a
that tinfoil
storybook
hat.
ending. Arch Manning back on the Saints, but it's not Arch, it's not Archie, it's Arch, and it's like he's back. It's home. It's home. It's always
Aints
been
are
home.
so bad.
It's always been New Orleans. That's what they're planning for. Get Tua, even though he's an S box, draft Arvell Reese, and then go ahead and bring the prodigal son back home to
Ask
NOLA.
for Arch.
Yes, ask for Arch. You're
t-shirts?
smiling. You're smiling. You know I'm right.
I'm
right. That's what the angle.
I'd wear
is.
that shirt.
They're gonna sign Tua to some BS 2-year, $80 million deal.
The
where-
Alabama fans to come in.
Yeah, where the dead cap, gets cut in half so they can buy him out for $10 million. No biggie. And then they'll be so bad. Honestly, an Arch may not even be like the number 1 overall pick. He might be like the 6th overall pick, depending on what type of season he has.
I think
next year.
I think Tua would be smart. He could work to be cut, and then he can kind of dictate his future. But good luck to him and Kyler Murray. Maybe he'll never start again in the NFL. Think about first-round quarterbacks since 2020. How that position, whether it be high school to college or college to the pro, we talk about a development problem. Whether it starts in high school, whether it's in college or in the pros. Just look at the array of first-round quarterbacks since 2020. Tua, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, Ant Richardson.
It's bad.
Okay?
It's really bad.
But then let me give you something else where you go, hey, hold on here. First-round quarterbacks since 2020. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud,
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart.
I would stop that list a little bit early. Like when you got to Drake May, what was the guy after Drake May?
Penix.
Yeah, we're done. we're
Still early.
yeah, but
Bo Nix.
I think if you're
Yeah.
trying to name
Still
off,
early for Ward and Dart, but
if
in comparison, you can't call those guys. They haven't been benched yet.
no, they haven't.
That's
They
essentially
haven't.
the first guys I mentioned: Tua, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson,
They're all in different teams.
Trey
They're
Lance,
all-
Mac Jones, Bryce Young,
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett, Ant Richardson. Now Bryce Young is back starting, but those other guys have gotten benched,
yeah. At
and
some
then the other
point.
guys haven't been benched yet, and they're either really, really good or they're
What-
still starters.
Yeah, so most of those guys, except for Tua, but he will be on it. Like most of those guys are on a different team. Tua will be on a
Mhm.
different team. Bryce Young, man, we're gonna look back on his career and be like, what a bipolar just start of like he looks bad, then he's benched, then he looks good, then he looked bad again at the beginning of the year because I think people found out that they just want to spread the ball and ping it around, and then he figured it out. Later, and now they're competing for the division. He's had a weird career, but you're right. I mean, there's been a lot of guys too, Gary, where some of those guys that you mentioned were projects. They were quote unquote raw projects. Lance was a quote unquote raw project. Anthony Richardson was a raw project. And nobody, despite their incredibly talented athletic and arm gifts, have been able to figure them out. And honestly, Drake May is like, at this point, the exception to the project rule when it comes to the quarterback position. He's kind of like the only one where it's like you're drafting him off of his raw ability and you need a lot of work to be done. And credit to New England, they got the right people in there and they've done the work. Just like they got the right people in Buffalo and they did the work with Josh Allen.
So good luck to Tua and Kyler Murray. You will no longer be in Miami or Arizona. And because teams overpay and they are needy for quarterbacks, I'm sure you'll find a home. But it was a good run. It was a good run. Enjoy. So I was looking this up. I inquired, I should say, yesterday, because I'm just curious on the 2026 Big Ten schedule. I thought it was going to be out this week. We only have 2 days left.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it might be more the first part of January. Northwestern would like 4 straight games to begin next year at their new stadium.
They need to make money.
So they go South Dakota State. They go the game we're going to, Colorado.
Yeah.
Ball State. Then do they open the Big Ten at home? Their home games next year, one of them is at the end of the year, is Illinois.
Yeah.
Iowa, Penn State, Rutgers. So that is, I guess, one of the things that is being decided. But we just want to know, after Nebraska opens up in Champaign to open the Big Ten, what comes next? Because that is a given. But back to the quarterback discussion. So last night, Matt Rule on his radio show, he talks about Dylan, but he talks about the quarterback room. Do we need to, and TJ Lateef will be a discussion around here until he's not. Do we need to have a commitment ceremony to, regardless of who the quarterback is at Nebraska, committing to developing one of your own? Instead of portal. Why not? He's our guy. We got him. We've known him for a long time.
No.
We know everything about him. We know his family. We know his girlfriend. We know where he likes to get his bagels in the morning.
Yeah.
We know what kind of bike he rode when he was 14 years old. Like at some point you do have to, the portal is a world that you can live in.
Yeah.
But at some point, if you're going to recruit high school quarterbacks, don't you have to go all in and commit to developing a high school quarterback, but not just once in a while?
Yeah.
But if this is what you're going to do and you develop them until you don't, and then you're like, well, we got to get a fix. So this will be our one-off year.
I know what you're saying. And you're right from an optics perspective, and optics are very important. You can argue that optics have never been more important than this era of college
What about
football.
the importance of, he might be their guy.
He might be. But
he doesn't, according to his head coach, blame others.
But that was that. So there were some tea leaves. There were some tea leaves for sure of like, he's going to take things in stride and, not, look himself in the mirror and everything like that. Yeah. I caught that too. Here's the thing. I'm jiving with you. I hear what you're saying. But if we're looking at the history, they have spent more years recruiting a guy out of high school and trying to develop that guy out of high school than they have gone in terms of the portal with the quarterbacks, right? So they have tried that. And I understand what you're saying, your commitment to your high school guys and the commitment to your dudes and having that. But I think more than anything heading into this win, and I don't mean to sound like an ass, but I'm going to sound like an ass, you need to commit to wins. Right. That's what you need to commit to. You need to commit to winning. You need to commit to making winning moves. And so this is kind of why the self-evaluation of your roster is so important, because you have to evaluate whether or not TJ Lateef is your best commitment to winning football. And if you think for a second that he's not, I don't give a damn. And I don't mean to be an ass, but I don't really care that he's your guy or
so
he came from high school.
If he's not your guy, then you're saying, hey, thanks for the memes. Go out with a bang, get some good film against Utah. You can compete.
So are you saying
you can
that,
compete,
okay.
but our starting quarterback in 2026, you haven't met him yet.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're there yet. I'm making that decision in terms of, because it's only been 3 games with TJ and he hasn't practiced with the ones, and he's got this hamstring injury, and I think Dana was
I think
they're
playing coy. I think he's good to go in the bowl game.
Well, no, but I mean, Dana said that he wasn't practicing. And so I think when he said, man, it's a shame that he wasn't practicing, I think it's Dana's saying it's a shame that he can't develop, and it's a shame that I can't see him practice, all with all the practices that they have. I don't think it's easy as I don't think it's easy as like you got to tell TJ, hey, you're good, you can go, or whatever, or you're our guy. Like I don't think they have to make that commitment to him. I think they can just say, hey, look, you're young, we like what you have, we think you can be great. You got to understand we need more scholarship quarterbacks on this roster. We're going to go and inquire one, and you're going to have to battle for the job. And you know what? If TJ isn't down for that, then you could make the argument, and this might be a bit of a straw man, but you can just say if TJ is not down for that, then maybe TJ isn't the guy that we want.
Well, I'm certain that he is down for it.
And,
this
and,
is why,
and there's
by the way,
nothing.
I want
And
to go back to some about.
Go ahead.
So who's telling the truth about Latif practicing? Because remember Rule, when they got their bowl destination, he said he's back to practicing and looking good. And so I think they're playing very coy.
They might be.
Unless he has tweaked his hamstring again, which would be unfortunate.
But I think the point I'm trying to make, and look, it's a good question. It's a very valid question that you're making, right? If you're committed to another quarterback, do you say to TJ, hey, thanks for the mems, we'll see you later, all that stuff, and how does that look to the fan base? I just don't think they've arrived to that point with TJ yet. I don't know if they really can arrive to that point with TJ yet until he's played more than 3 games, and played more than 3 games with like proper preparation and like an offense that is not just kind of, I don't want to say the offense was put together in a flash, but they had to adjust some things from what they were running before, so I don't know if they can, I don't know if they're there yet.
So they don't have great quarterbacks in that room?
Right now, I don't think they have great quarterbacks in that room right now. No.
So you think that was just a radio show comment last night?
No. Yes. He's made a lot of comments about people being great and players being great, and I've kind of learned not to buy it, if I'm being honest with you. I just haven't. Like he said, he tried telling me yesterday, every time Makai and Mosey touched the ball, they made plays. I'm like, Matt, I don't know what you and I were both watching. I mean, they both respectfully at times made plays, but it wasn't every time they touched the ball they made plays. If that was the case, Emmett wouldn't have had the amount of carries that he had. It's a fact.
I just, because they're gonna add to that quarterback room. They have to. They have to have bodies in there because there is no guarantee that Latif is going to make it through a whole year. I mean, we got very lucky last year with Dylan, that Dylan made it through a whole year. It had been since 2017 that the starting quarterback in Nebraska had made it through an entire season. So Dylan in his freshman year, actually, that was a benefit that he played all 13 games. So the more quarterbacks in the room, the better. And the new norm is that 1 or 2 are going to leave every year. But there's got to be that core that you keep committing to in the development because that's your guy and you brought him in because you've got one on the horizon that is going to be the guy that you fully commit to.
Yes. And
he's going to be one of your own. There's another part of the thing that I would love to find out, and this is part of the discussion, is Davila. That's a Dana guy.
Yeah.
So the development of where he was at Purdue to this past year being developed with Dana and having intimate knowledge of him. He certainly couldn't crack, into the top 2. The fact that a guy that just showed up that had never been around a college football program and was here at the same time you were, and you had played a year or you had sat out a year, but you were in a college program at Purdue, past you. That's where I'd like to know, like, what does the depth chart look like for
the Utah game?
Yeah. Does it just have Gramstad because he's the old guy and he gets to be number 2? Yeah. Or is Davila actually the number 2 guy behind Latif in this game?
Davila's he's an athlete.
He's a thick guy.
He's a big dude. Like, and he can run. Like he's got some of the aspects of like and this is just me being tunnel vision because his name has been all in my head the last couple of days, but he's got a little Sorsby in him, real big guy, beefy guy, can put his, foot in the ground, can hit some people, it has the potential. I haven't seen it, but he has the potential from what you've read that he can do that stuff. There's no shock to breaking news. Gary Sharp sees really big and athletic prospect and wants to see him play.
Well, I just like
is Marcos Davila your Bear Cape Buchton, Joe?
No, he is not.
Is he what Quinton Ives was to me? We all were like, Quinton's there. I want to see Quinton play. No. And Quinton never. By the way, shout out Kyle Crooks, who while talking to Matt Rule yesterday, Matt goes Makai and Isaiah, and Kyle goes Quinton, and Matt goes, Quinton too.
He has to be in the portal, right? Once the
yeah.
Vegas Bowl is over.
Or like you said, it's kind of nice being a Nebraska football player. You get some pretty good meals. The jersey looks nice on game day. You get to say you're a Husker.
If you can't crack the top 3 and you've been here this long, and there's probably 2 more guys coming on the horizon.
Oh, I mean, I'm being
including
very,
another
by the way,
freshman. Yeah,
I'm being very facetious. I'm being very sarcastic. Yeah, he's more than likely probably in the portal, and Nebraska football should say, "Hey, we got more guys coming."
Here is Lane on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Good morning, Lane.
Hey, Gary. Hey, Matt. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Good. Hey, I'm listening today. I really like the show. It's funny, when I called in, I was going to call and talk about how I didn't believe that Matt Rule really meant that he was 100% sure TJ is great or is going to be great. I thought it was just more of his messaging that we hear. And then, Matt, you sort of went into it for me when you said he said a lot of things. I just don't like it when coaches throw out superstar or greatness. Like, that's something that has to be earned. And here at Nebraska, like, it felt like Royola got here. Oh, he's great. He's doing great. He's going to be a star. He's a superstar. Like, his brand was a big deal, but on the field, we never really got that greatness. And it's just, to me, these serious Big Ten football coaches, they don't just throw out the word great or greatness. I mean, you've got to earn it. And, I guess that's just about all I have to say. I really enjoy your show, and I'll just hang up. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lane. The thing with Latif is, okay, we got to see a wide variety of his skill set.
Yeah.
I think there's enough there that you're like, we don't need 5 portal guys.
God, no. Probably need 1.
And he wasn't helped in the Iowa game. There were some drops. He was on a bad wheel, but there were balls that could have been caught in that game. Then we saw him fully healthy against UCLA. Then we saw him adjusting in real time to getting swarmed by Penn State. Iowa is kind of a mixed bag. The one thing TJ didn't do during the brief time that he got to show off is he didn't leave like any doubt. Like there wasn't a performance during those 3 games where you're like, oh, that guy is my guy, and I've been a Tiffy and I'm still a Tiffy. He left the door open a little bit. And it's good to leave the door open because there's got to be competition. There have to be more bodies in that room. But how they assess whatever he does in the bowl game, if that goes on his ledger of evaluating TJ Latif moving forward, or we've already evaluated him, we know what we have, we know what we can work with, and we know that we're going to look different next year. And he's going to fit the guys in front of him, the guys behind him, and the guys to his left and right.
So I think it does go on his ledger, because what is development? Development is making mistakes, then practicing to no longer make those mistakes, and then seeing if when you get into an actual simulated game, have you improved, right? And TJ had 3 games where he made mistakes. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but he made some mistakes. He's then going to have these bowl practices to then look back on those mistakes, fix those mistakes, and then play against Utah. I think the Utah game kind of gives you a palette in a way of what is his progression looking like. Is he a guy who can progress quickly? Is he a guy who can develop quickly? Is he a guy who actually, when he looks back at the film, then does the practice, then goes back out there, does he actually fix those things? And so I think it for sure, I don't know if it necessarily like, if he has like a mid game, like 200 yards and a little bit over 60% complete, like if he doesn't have a great game, I don't know if it's that. It's more about his stats as much as about did he make his improvements, those improvements.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think you know what you have out of him. He gets to play another game. The team that he's going to play with on the 31st doesn't look like the team that was playing with him on Black Friday.
I hope so.
Well, in terms of personnel.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was talking about, I get what you're saying.
It actually, maybe it is a more of a, another checkpoint for TJ Latif, because they do not have an eraser in the backfield.
They don't.
So does that eraser become the quarterback?
It has to be.
Sarah Baker Hansen going to join us before the hour is over. Steve Sipple and Brian Edwards here on Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone has your hookup on free Creighton men's basketball tickets. Listen, with Gary and Matt in Creighton men's basketball tickets.
1x40 in Cincinnati and in Omaha last night.
Is that how I sound? Is that your
No.
impersonation? Listen with Gary and Matt in the morning, the Connor Happer Show, and USC to win. All three shows will be
That's all the
giving away CU versus Marquette tickets for Saturday, December 20th. And all three shows will be giving away CU versus Utah Tech tickets for Monday, December 22nd.
Well, that'll be a sleepy Monday night at the Chai. Students are gone right
50
before
cent.
Christmas. You already won 2-0. You're 2-0 in the Big East after beating Marquette.
Be a lot of Godfather's Pizza upstairs in the
Yeah.
hockey press box. We'll be
Not
giving
a
both
bad
those
thing.
tickets away tomorrow, by the way. So stay tuned tomorrow to potentially win Creighton tickets.
Creighton yesterday, it was a big day for both programs. They first time they've ever won, both on the road. Men and women won by at least 40.
Long trip for the women.
The men rolled Richard Pitino. Jesus, they were bad. They got crushed.
Hey, they got a couple itches on that team. Richard Pitino taking a page out of Balkan Brad's book, and he's got a Miljovic and a Kiliovic or something like that. They were decent. They weren't that good.
All right, so we'll I don't think we're all good now, but there's a chance to finish out 2025 on a positive note for Creighton men. I was impressed by the Creighton women last night. The Gesser twins from Millard West, Neely and Nora. You would never know they're freshmen, and that's a young team that Flan has. They're going to be good.
Yeah.
They're going to be.
He's good.
They're going to be fine. Yeah, he's exceptional. So is Jamie Carey. So she's going
Yes,
through it as
friend
the
of the
first year head coach of Omaha.
Yeah.
She didn't get hired till May. Basically, her whole roster was gone. So they have some players that this is their first time playing college basketball, and the results aren't great. But a couple years from now, Omaha women's basketball is going to be much better. But I like both those teams playing last night. And I told Flan this. I said, hey, man, I'm glad you play this game. Nebraska doesn't come and play at Baxter, but Creighton, and this is the first time that they played in a couple of years. I said, I'm glad that you're playing this. He goes, oh, no problem. He goes, why wouldn't we? And they're going to be, he has always recruited locally. I mean, he almost got Britt Prince. Almost.
Yeah.
So Creighton's going to be fine. They're just a little bit younger. And, maybe January 11th when UConn's here might be a little bit different, but they're going to be fine. And the Gesser twins are going to be stars in the Big East. I mean, they're a year older from when I saw them in high school at Millard West, and they were great at Millard West.
Yeah.
But just the fact that the women's basketball coach at Omaha knows that she lives in the state of Nebraska and that it's okay to recruit Nebraska girls high school basketball players will be so much better than Carrie Banks.
Yeah.
It is amazing that she did not build relationships, recruit in state. Like, there's a reason you got fired.
Yeah.
But Jamie Carey is completely different, and they'll be fine in a couple of years. This year is going to be really, really rough. I don't think we've seen the roughest part yet.
Yeah.
Because they still got a South Dakota State that's coming. But it was good to see them both last night. And there were a lot of young and local kids that were playing last night. So I'm glad they're playing that game, and they've played it on a regular basis, but they hadn't played for a couple of years.
I saw your tweet about the game. Were you calling the game, or did
No.
you? Oh, okay.
I just went there. I was across the street.
Nice.
I hadn't seen Creighton women play, and knowing Coach Flan and some other people that I wanted to see, and
It was a nice night to go walk across the street.
they had a good crowd. They I think they announced about 2,800.
Whoa. Nice.
They had
That's very
they had
nice.
Millard night. Unfortunately, Cora Olson, who is from Millard South, who was on those great Millard South teams,
Millard. I thought you said Miller.
she is out for the year.
I know.
So Millard.
Millard.
You ever been to Millard?
Yeah, we were the home of Millard South football this year. I went to Millard.
McMillard,
plenty.
yeah.
McMillard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had Millard. They had Millard.
McLib was at McMillard.
They had Millard night last night. So that was the unfortunate news earlier in the day. But yeah, they had a good crowd there last night.
That's
It was
awesome.
a good atmosphere. Yeah, I'm glad that they play each other. I think Omaha and Creighton should play in every sport, and outside of men's basketball, they do.
Think men's basketball, they'd ever get that done? What
There'd
is
have to be a financial discussion
Okay.
because Summit League teams that come to Omaha to play that are not named Omaha
They
get paid pretty well.
Yeah.
And because the Summit League team in Omaha, that is about 40 blocks away,
Yeah. Not
doesn't
even.
get paid the same amount.
Oh.
So
Yeah. That's kind of. I understand that.
I mean, I also think we're past this, at least from the benefit of the two teams playing is probably not as great from the outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what you're
Yeah.
saying there, because like if Omaha ends up winning or ends up playing them close, you look badly upon Creighton, and if Creighton ends up beating Omaha,
You don't see an advantage.
Yeah,
There's
no.
only disadvantage.
they're really like you kind of have to like fully just straight up cover the spread, so both teams entered the same
Yeah.
way, like exiting.
But
right?
if you offer a summer league team to drive down Interstate 29, 90 grand, and the team to drive 40 blocks, only 50 grand.
yeah, BS, we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
No.
Omaha men's
no.
basketball needs more home games. Hopefully, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of them playing 4 non-D1s at home this year, but their schedule, they really did struggle to find people to play them.
Yeah.
You
were telling us that from the get-go. So when
Yeah.
I saw that they were playing Concordia, Doane, and York, I was like, yeah, I guess that makes it, because you have to have a certain amount of games on your schedule, and you just
they
gotta,
don't play as many. They didn't. This is the fewest bye games that we've played this year.
Yeah.
Like
that's
Saturday
wild.
night is not a bye game. That's the start of a home and home. But it's just nobody wanted to play Omaha, and then, or if they did, they wanted to do 2-for-1, and it would start on the road.
Yeah.
And Omaha wanted home games, and so they were getting towards the end of, we got to get the schedule put together. We got to get it out there. We got to get these. If we're going to play Doane, Concordia, and York, we got to get it on their schedule
Sure.
so they know. And
Sure.
so hopefully it's just a one-off.
Yeah.
But I know that they're starting to schedule again for next year, and just they can't get people to come to Omaha. And you gotta you probably got to get consistently winning, and then
Yeah.
schools that are mid-majorish will decide that a home and home is a great idea, because
Mhm.
South Dakota State has gotten that way. North Dakota State's gotten that way.
And
That they see it as a benefit to play a home and home.
Yeah.
But what's going to hurt is the Summit League Big Sky are not doing that scheduling challenge as of right now for another
Yeah.
year. So that's one home game and 2 games on your schedule that you're going to have to go find.
It's funny, you guys can have as many bye games as you typically do, but you went to Miami for an entire week.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
MT.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but it's just like to think that you would have like another week-long vacation, or not vacation, week-long road
Yeah.
trip like that is fun to me. I mean, you're right.
But I think Creighton, Nebraska, Creighton, Omaha should play in every sport. And for the most
I
part,
agree.
they do.
Yeah.
I
I liked it when baseball playing Creighton, man. Like that's fun. Like I think for like as a person who went to Nebraska, like even though that you look at the Creighton Nebraska rivalry as more of a basketball thing, it's still, there was that kind of pride in terms of like, you're playing a different sport, but you still want to win that game.
You know what they tried to line up?
What did they try to line up?
I think Creighton and Omaha, Nebraska tried to do this, is instead of, hey, we're going to play 3 times. So we're going to play in March, and then we're going to play a week later in March, and then we're going to play in April. They looked into if the conference schedules could line up where it would be a 3-game series.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
So let's say Friday night you start in Lincoln,
Dude.
Saturday you're at Tal Anderson,
Hell-
Sunday you're back in Lincoln,
Hell
or
yeah.
the year that Omaha gets 2 games, you stay here. They looked at that, but it just didn't line up.
Dude,
But I'm glad that everybody is going to play. Everybody, like Nebraska softball will always play Creighton and Omaha, and it benefits both of those programs.
If you can get that with Creighton and Nebraska, the hanging and banging in the parking lot of Haymarket Park and the tailgate. Oh my God.
Well, would
It'd be
you
incredible.
rather have Creighton, Nebraska baseball play 3 separate times, sprinkled
Sure.
amongst the 56, or have one weekend series like in April?
One weekend.
Oh.
I would much rather have one week. That would be an event. That would be a legitimate event that, people would come down or come over and hang out for. That'd be a ton of fun.
I'd be curious to see. I don't know. Is Creighton softball? Creighton softball schedule. I was going to see who they open up with their new stadium.
Like, especially if they promoted it, Gary, how do you think a Saturday night game, whether it be at the Chuck or whether it be at Haymarket Park between Creighton and Nebraska would do? Like, how well would that do? I think it'd do very well. I think that'd be a ton of fun for everyone involved.
The first home game at the new softball complex is
You're like me over there
is
doing the
Providence on
researching.
March 13th.
Okay.
They go way back. That's a huge rivalry.
I love it when John does his read about all the construction happening at Creighton. He turns into Bobby the Brain Heenan trying to put over Creighton's campus. It's great. It's awesome. I'm not calling him a mark.
All right. Sarah Baker Hansen coming up next. For people that are on TV, they've been inquiring. We do not have a store like for 1620
A
The Zone gear. Like when we celebrated our 20th anniversary, we got some gear,
Like
hoodies,
Spaceballs, the bed sheet. Yeah.
like some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
But people have inquired because I'm wearing a really good looking
Oh, yes. I just noticed you're wearing the
NRG
company-
Media stocking cap, which they gave to us before our Toys for Tots drive. These are a hot commodity. People are inquiring where they can purchase these. They are not available for purchase. So if you see somebody wearing one, they probably work for the great NRG Media.
Does that mean somebody's willing to pay us?
That's the first piece of memorabilia that I've gotten working here.
Oh, you got a nice polo for the College World Series.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I'm a liar. That is such a nice polo.
Yeah.
But I wear golfing all the time.
But yeah, we don't have a store.
No.
It'd be kind of cool if we had a store. I bet we could push
1620
some
the store.
1620 gear.
I think you definitely could push some 1620 The Zone gear. Can you imagine all the Creighton fans who would buy the quarter zips and wear them to basketball games? That'd be sick.
It'd be great for us. It'd be great promotion.
It'd be incredible
Of, people
promotion.
wearing 1620.
Dude, I
gear.
would take a 1620 The Zone hat, black with a red emblem right here. I'd be
Um,
king
One of the
down in
stations here had a
1620 The Zone
G-string.
gear.
Remember when they cleaned out everything?
What?
Yeah. One of the FMs.
Things used to be a little bit wilder around this building, Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
know,
should have seen the
things-
coil ones.
Things just used to be wilder in radio in general, is what I've learned.
Well,
I mean,
we,
like when I was working back
yeah.
in Chicago, all those older guys who would be on the radio who would just be
Mhm.
like, back in my day, we used to beef with 670 all the time. Holmes versus Silverman.
We don't have anybody to beef with at 1620 because
No,
there's
we
no
don't.
local sports talk radio.
We beef with each other.
Yes, we did. We can't even beef with Zone 2.
No, we can't.
Who are we going to
with
beef with?
Dan
Santa
Patrick.
Claus?
No. We're gonna beef with the guy who voices over Santa. You're listening to the Santa baby, 1180.
man.
The guy's
Every-
actually right around the corner
I know.
there.
I love him.
Go
He's a
beef
great
with
guy.
him. Kyle,
Go smoke a cigar
or
with him.
Craig walks in. Craig walks in. Craig emails in about Kyle Whittingham, who, as of right now, is the head coach at Utah until he is not when the clock hits 0 on December 31st against Nebraska. 16.5 is still a spread.
Yes, it has not moved. I can look.
Hey, have
one
you
more time.
looked up?
I can look
Has
up anything for
Utah had recent opt-outs on the offensive line?
you. Let me look. Utah.
I mean, they have some NFL dudes that are gonna have a nice little April
yeah.
getting drafted. But Craig
Yeah.
writes in, he said, would it shock you guys if the Las Vegas Bowl won't be the last time Matt Rule coaches against Kyle Whittingham? Kyle Whittingham is 68 years old, was waiting in Salt Lake City for Harvey Perlman and Sean Eichhorst to show up, and they flew right over Salt Lake City, so happy that they had just had a great meeting with Mike Riley, and Kyle Whittingham never got that meeting. I just inserted that. That's not in Craig's email. Said, too much of a coincidence that Moore gets fired on the 10th, and 2 days later, Whittingham announces he's stepping down, not retiring.
You would not believe this. There is a website called, or it's sportsbookreview.com, and it tracks opt-outs for bowl games.
Okay.
Like across. Let me go down here to Utah. All right, Utah opt-outs. They have had no opt-outs
Okay,
right now.
okay.
So they have two guys that you're referring to. They have Fano, who is an offensive tackle. He's going to be probably in the first 15 picks. And then they have another guy. He's another tackle, Caleb Lamu. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's like I said, another offensive lineman. They're projecting him to opt out. Lamu is the number 18 prospect on an NFL big board,
Mhm.
according to CBS Sports. Fano, who's the better one, he's the 9th overall draft prospect. So they have two top 20 picks potentially at offensive line for them. Only Lamu, though, is projected to opt out.
Okay.
Dampier hasn't opted out. Fanu hasn't opted out. None of the other potential Joe Moore award-winning offensive line has opted out or anything like that. All of their guys who are not playing are just hurt.
Yeah.
So,
But to answer Craig's question, it was kind of interesting, the wording. This has been in the works for a few years because they already had the defensive coordinator who they've already signed to his head coaching contract.
Yeah.
It was going to be elevated. He was a coach in waiting for about 3 years.
Wow.
They have this new private equity thing that is going on with Utah, so it seemed like the timing is right. Plus, he's 68 years old. There was an article in the Salt Lake City Tribune, possibly that if he wants to continue to coach, but not at a full-time level, he will go and work with his son in Kansas City because Alex Whittingham works for the Chiefs.
That's sick. Oh
Yeah.
my God! If you had Kyle Whittingham at Casey, hey,
Yeah,
what if Kyle
So
Whittingham
You
takes
might get
over
me to
for
come
An-
around.
How about
that was
what if,
proposed as a
what
possibility.
if Whittingham takes over as
No.
for Andy?
No.
Okay, all right, never mind.
It crossed my mind.
That was easy.
No, but I would love to have him. Like if he, just wanted to do something different, but he could work with his son and he could work in the NFL.
Oh yeah,
that was proposed as a possibility. Kenny Dillingham won't say no to Michigan because I think it's Michigan. I think he wants to say yes to Arizona State, but because it's Michigan,
You got to listen.
he's like, it's Michigan, it's Michigan.
You-
And then Jed Fish in Seattle's like, Kenny, what are we doing? Kenny.
You told me because I told you there's no way that Arizona State he leaves Arizona State, and you told me, dude, it's Michigan. And then
He's got this weird
And-
wording every time he's asked
I
about
know.
it here in the last couple of days.
And then
Everyone
I was,
has
and
their
then I was
price.
reading some articles and I was like, I don't know. I think he's trending there. And then you brought up his press conference where it's like, I don't think he's leaving. And now it's flipped to where it's like he's tempted. And by the way, how could you not?
Yeah, it's
How
Michigan.
could you not
It's
be
Michigan because
tempted?
it's Michigan. You don't say
No.
But there is, I don't know what that would do to Dylan because Arizona State is an Adidas school and he might want to go back to Arizona, but then he'll have to deal with the fact that Kenny Dillingham, when he was an assistant at Oregon, offered Aiden Childs. And Aiden Childs, formerly of Michigan State, is in the portal.
Oh,
You follow along there?
I see the tea leaves there.
Because Arizona State is going to need a quarterback.
Yes, they are.
But he offered Aiden Childs, Dillingham did when he was on the staff at Oregon.
So I wonder though if Dillingham, one of the biggest pieces we're not talking about this entire transfer portal cycle is Bryce Underwood. What if he just says, nah, don't jive. Not a fish guy. I'm gonna go in the portal. That would flip everything. That would flip a lot of things on its head. Because all of a sudden
Well, think about this though.
yeah.
So, I think there's a lot of reasons for him. Underwood is a Michigan guy,
Yeah.
so he's from Detroit. Now, I don't know what Lane Kiffin is doing behind closed doors.
There you go.
But let's say Jed Fish is your guy. You're going to say, Jed, who's your quarterback? Who's your quarterback in Seattle? Would he be interested in playing in Ann Arbor?
Okay. But that's very interesting. Bringing DeMond Williams to Michigan. So then maybe, yeah. Do you think what would be funny if you hire Kenny Dillingham? Sam Levitt goes from Michigan State to Arizona State to then Michigan.
I don't know what.
That'd be wild.
So
Sam
up
Levitt on
until
Michigan.
yesterday afternoon, it looked like if you are a fan of Kelce, you could participate in what just appears to be a terrible idea. They were going to have
Terrible.
They were going to have a market
Terrible.
for transfer portal where you could get odds and bet on where players would end up. Just seemed like a really terrible idea.
Gary, how could there not be collusion? Explain
Yeah.
to me how you would stop collusion.
So the NCAA
absolutely
The NCAA
not.
got involved yesterday, and then Kelce has backed down.
Yeah.
But they announced this in the morning after we were off the air, and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of bad ideas out there. Joel Klatt had a bad take.
Terrible take.
This is an awful idea.
By the way,
that looks like it's been squashed.
That's an all-time awful idea because couldn't, in theory, you just enter the transfer portal and then go back to your team? And so couldn't you just tell your buddies, hey, guys, I'm plus 330 to enter the portal.
Yeah.
Go and put a good old dollar on it. I'm going to enter the portal. I'm actually going to kind of look around at my options here because why not? I'm a pretty good player. And then, worst comes to worst, I just go back to where I was and you guys make a bunch of money.
Yes.
And
that's why it was a terrible idea.
Gary, they're all we forget too, they're all college kids, okay? These guys, a lot of these guys who can enter the portal and get odds on them entering the portal probably have friends who could use a buck or two, So it's on the Mount Rushmore of bad ideas for sports. I'm not going to go ahead and put it in the human history, but man, it'd be big for Nebraska if those two tackles decided not to play for Utah. Hey, that's a guy that you should want? Spencer Fanu?
For Kansas City
Yeah,
or Nebraska?
For Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
Not for Nebraska. He's going to the draft, man. He's getting paid millions.
Nebraska's got a lot of money. They don't have Texas or Texas A&M money, but they want to become the Texas Tech of the Midwest.
Dude, this guy's 6'6", 308. Good for him.
Question about quarterbacks here. Yeah, I guess so.
Congratulations.
Some people that are the average height of a man, they're like, hey, good on you as well.
I know.
Good for you.
You just don't get a lot of those guys a lot. You know, those everybody like
Congratulations on being
everybody
big.
freaks out about skill positions. Here's the thing: if you want my theory on football, this is just Matt McMaster's theory on football. You got to get the big men. You got to get the fat guys. Okay, everybody freaks out about the wide receivers and the corners.
I can get behind this.
Let me tell you something right now. There's a lot of guys out there who are 6'1", 190 pounds, and their arms are a little bit longer. The guys that are 6'7", 315 pounds, they don't grow on trees. Okay, you got to get those guys right. Do you know who is the unsung hero of the LA Rams? Poona Ford. You know why Poona Ford is the unsung hero of the LA Rams? Because he's fat. And he's long.
He
and
eats up space.
He eats up space.
Ted Washington.
And
Vince
they just let the linebackers come in and clean up. All right. You want to win in football? You need Andrew Billings in the middle that just eats up all of the line of scrimmage and then lets TJ Edwards fired. All right. We need more fat men on our football teams.
Take that, Ozempic.
Yeah, take that.
Sorry, Nash. I didn't think you were fat.
Well, that was exact. Nash was great. Nash was perfect for that.
But you can be thick. I think there's a difference between being fat and thick.
Thick is good.
I'm being
Thick is good too.
I'm being funny.
Like I look at Nash and I go, there is a Coke machine. I don't look at a Coke machine and go, a Coke machine is fat. I look at a football player and he's either a fire hydrant or a Coke machine.
Sure.
And I've looked at a lot of fire hydrants.
Yeah, you have.
A lot of them aren't fat. Okay, they're specific size.
Yeah, they're stubby.
It's okay. Fridge.
You don't want stubby in the D line.
Gilbert Brown was portly.
Exactly. Portly. There's a reason why the guys called the fridge and the guys called the kitchen ended up having very successful careers with teams that won a lot of games.
Nate,
okay. He ate the fridge. He's the kitchen. Why do you think those guys won football games?
Larry Allen was thick.
Because they were.
Rest in
Why do you
peace.
think Reggie White won football games? You think Reggie White won football games because he was, he had a great voice?
Do you think that every 360-pound man is fat?
Reggie wasn't fat.
I mean, it's hard for me to call him skinny.
Rest in peace.
They ain't skinny. They ain't husky. You're 360 pounds. You ain't husky. What are you? You're a big boy.
What if you're 6'9", 360?
I would have to get my dude. If you're 6'9", 360, you're whatever the hell you want me to call you.
The Big Show was 7'2", 400.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now. If Mark Henry came up to me and says, "You call me Burley," I go, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Burley Mark Henry."
All right. When we come back, 11-0 in Lincoln has opened up an optic, and also with Steve Sipple on the horizon. Would your opinion of Dylan change on what he is looking for if he didn't go to an Adidas school?
Oh, interesting question.
Steve Sipple and Brian Edwards coming up in the last hour. Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Hey, welcome back in. Last hour of Gary and Matt with Jimmy as well. Coming up on New Year's Eve over at Liberty First Credit Union over in Ralston, we are giving away a pair of tickets to AE Dynamite New Year's Smash. That guy's going to go down. You can expect a action-packed evening featuring AEW's incredible roster of male and female wrestlers. Witness the athleticism, the massive personalities,
Nah, I wouldn't go
the
that
exciting storylines that have made AEW a sensation.
far. See that?
Plus,
I
this is
agree
it.
with.
Plus, you want to get on TV on New Year's Eve, right after Nebraska beats Utah, or
Yeah.
Utah beats Nebraska. I want to play both sides.
Yeah,
It'll
don't
be
be
on.
biased.
It'll be on TBS. It'll be live.
We'll be on
It'll be
TV.
live. Hangman Adam Page is coming to town. I haven't seen him in a while.
Like dinner
Bobby
movie.
Lashley.
Nice.
Oh, Tony Storm. Welcome back, Tony. What's up?
Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher,
Tony-
who could just be a random guy that lives right
No.
next to Bushwhackers in Ralston.
That guy actually is the truth. That dude
Oh.
is going to be a
Paul
superstar
Pierce is
one
the
day.
truth.
Tony
Oh.
Storm is a women's wrestler.
Mark Briscoe is wrestling.
So Mark,
During the day, he's a elementary teacher in Ralston.
Mark,
No?
look up what. Whoa. Now I got to show you what Mark Briscoe looks like.
Well,
An insurance
News out
salesman
of
in
Lincoln.
Belleville.
news
You
out
think-
of Lincoln. Not
you-
every elementary teacher
you
is.
think- You think this guy? You think this guy's teaching elementary school? You think?
This ain't kindergarten cop.
Hell yeah.
You think?
I would just hope he put a shirt on. Listen to the Connor Happer Show all this week to win. More details at 1620thezone.com. So,
he doesn't have two front teeth.
Many kids in kindergarten don't either.
That's a good point. He can relate. You got to relate to your program. You got to relate to your
Exactly.
players.
coming up on the Connor Happer Show, Josh Odson will be in here to celebrate.
Champion.
You think he'll be
They're Iowa
popping a
West.
Miller Lite while on the radio today?
Why not?
I don't know. I'm kind of jealous.
Why not champagne?
Or that.
They flew home right after the game last night. So he'll be in. Iowa Western won the JUCO National Championship last night, beating Hutchinson to finish another spectacular year for Scott Strohmeyer. They've won 3 titles in the last 4 years. All right, let's talk about Dylan. We've waited long enough to talk about Dylan.
9
Everybody's
o'clock,
talking
pretty
about
good.
Dylan.
By the way, Darby Allen is going to be at the
Oh
Super Bowl.
God, yeah, man. I bet Darby is going to be. Oh, I bet he'll be. I bet
This guy in the middle.
beforehand he'll be at Ralston Keno.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he drinks.
I bet him and Bob Mackey, 92-year-old Bob Mackey, will be sitting right there at Ralston Keno.
No,
been to Ralston
Darby
Keno yet?
Allen. Darby Allen in the
Yeah,
peak of his.
he went to Winchester's and then I sent him over to Ralston Keno.
Nice.
That I went to Winners. I didn't go
Oh.
to Ralston Keno.
You
needs to
should
go to
have.
Ralston.
You said Ralston Keno ? And I told you yes because I thought you meant
Oh,
Keno
oh.
in Ralston, which
Okay.
I was playing Keno in Ralston,
Oh, okay.
and then I realized, that's an actual place that I'm not at. I went to Winners where
Oh.
I actually dominated dude. I dominated the pick $2, $1, 15 to 1, won 3 different times, paid for my tab.
All right, let's talk about Dylan, can we? So,
okay.
well, we got to talk about Dylan until he finds a home and the head.
Every day of Dylan, is that what we're gonna call?
Oh,
this?
I don't think everybody wants every day of Dylan, but there's questions. I just
days of
asked you. Dylan still has Nebraska stuff up on his Instagram.
He still
has not publicly
does.
announced he's leaving, right?
No, he has not.
Okay. So there, Louisville attached to Dylan makes sense because Jeff Brom he's a quarterback developer.
That he is.
Plus Louisville is a Adidas school. I don't know because I haven't been able to get a spot on answer about the athlete Adidas contracts if it's 1 year.
Oh, okay.
But I think once you're in the fam, you get to stay in the fam. You just sign a new deal.
Okay.
Before I present the Adidas schools, did they execute his NIL deal with Adidas in Lincoln? Do you remember seeing any big marketing campaigns
No.
where he was in Nebraska gear? Because that's part of the deal. He could be in photo shoots for Adidas wearing Nebraska gear because of the relationship Adidas. I didn't, like Harper Murray had something in downtown Lincoln. Dylan never had one of those.
I
but
never
Dylan's
saw
deal
one.
is larger than Harper Murray's was, but they never rolled out like a Adidas Nebraska Dylan Raiola campaign, did they? Does he have stuff on his Instagram?
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to look if he has like a hashtag ad Adidas type thing going on. Now, I will say that a lot of his spot up pictures on Instagram, like look at this, like that's him in Adidas gear.
Okay,
right
so
there.
that may
like
be-
it's very clear. Like here's another picture. Like that's his first picture, kind of consistently is
Okay.
always him in Adidas gear. He's got a picture of him and Anthony Edwards. Like I'm
Great on
assuming
PR.
at some sort of Adidas
Oh, wow.
shoot.
Okay.
So
So he did do some stuff.
but like look, he was sponsored by Takis and he did a whole like
Yeah.
Takis ad,
Many
right?
kids are.
He never did that for Adidas. Like he never said,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm wearing the new Adidas Ultra Boosts here. You know, make sure you go to the stores. If you use the code DR15, get 15% off or whatever." Like he never I don't see that here. I see
like, wouldn't you think,
I would think
when
yeah.
you think of like Harper Murray and Dylan Raiola would be like in the outlet store out in Gretna, the Adidas
But
outlet
would it-
store,
but,
or
okay,
Adidas
so-
centered. Like when I was in Portland at the Adidas shop, I think Messi might have, taken over the store.
yeah.
But you would think that two Nebraska athletes that were
But-
Adidas would have been featured like in an outlet mall that is all Adidas or
So-
like other sporting goods stores. I don't recall ever seeing either one of them like in Nebraska
But-
gear in
Is it
sport shops.
is that sponsorship? And this is a question. I don't know the answer to this question. This is a question that's going to put out there. Is that sponsorship more for Adidas or is it more for Nebraska? like-
Probably a little both.
Yeah.
The relationship that they have.
Like, is it more for Adidas to actually sell gear and to like get people to buy things, or is it more of a hey, we're an Adidas school, we have a good partnership, we're going to
maybe
partner
a
up.
connection of a brand
Yeah.
because those are two
Sure.
of the most recognizable brands that are in Lincoln. So as Dylan tries to find a new home, Louisville is an Adidas school.
that they are.
Also, people are wondering about Arizona State, Adidas school. They are wondering about Georgia Tech, Adidas school.
Oh wow. Okay.
So Miami, Washington, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Arizona State, Louisville, Indiana, KU, North Carolina State, Texas Tech, Georgia Tech, Boston College, Rutgers, Mississippi State, Penn State, and Tennessee are all
Nice.
Adidas schools. So it makes sense if you have the NIL, and that Dylan's NIL deal with Adidas, it adds to his over 300 million in or three million.
300 million. Oh
3
my
million,
God.
excuse me. 3
Hard
million.
pass.
Talk about
sorry,
a
sorry,
We're
sorry,
running
sorry.
the
a
wishbone.
lack of return on investment. Good
3
lord.
million, 3 million plus in NIL for his second season in Lincoln. So that's part of the people just crashed on.
You know what? You McMaster.
They
right
spent
there.
what?
They
Hey.
did what?
Hey,
David Booth paid them what?
No.
I believe
No.
Dylan priced himself out of Lincoln asking for 320 million.
Whoa.
But
No, thank you, Bubba.
so, it's lucrative for both sides. What if he ended up at a non-Adidas school like Florida,
Right.
Florida State, Oregon,
Who's New Balance?
would Boston College, right?
Yeah, there you go. Bill O'Brien.
He goes to Boston College. I'm wondering what the
Jeez.
hell is going on or
Billy-
how much
Can
money
you-
they got.
Can you imagine Bill O'Brien dealing
Yeah.
with that? That'd be funny.
Would your opinion change of what you think that Dylan is looking for if he had a change of heart and he went to a non-Adidas school?
If he went to like a non-Adidas school that was off the reservoir, like if he went to
Intrigue.
like if he went to
Not Oregon.
like yes, there you go. Like if he went to Oregon, I'd be like, well, whatever, that doesn't really
Okay,
change
so
my opinion.
Florida State.
So if he goes to like Florida State, where they haven't had as much success over the last couple of years, and honestly, it's been closer to being more of a fire than it is,
Mhm.
being a legitimate
Do
contender.
the Adrian route. Go to Manhattan.
Yeah. Okay, great one, Jimmy. Like if he went to a place like a Nike school where it was clear he was going for the coach or he was going for, hey, I want to get better. Yes, I would think of him differently. I would think of Dylan differently if he did something that was very clear, not about financials. If he did something that it was,
Yeah.
hey, this is a clear decision that money didn't have anything to do with it, and it has more to do with him getting better as a player and him developing into the player that he wants to. That's where I would start to think, all right, maybe his mindset has changed and maybe his camp's mindset has changed because, like you said, he priced himself out, right? So that's would change my opinion, and I guess going to a non-Adidas school would probably fuel that. Would it change your opinion on it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be because I hope he finds what he's looking for, because we're 6 schools, 7 years, and now you're going into your 3rd year of college, and make a decision that's for you and not for anyone else, because you have to live with it. Is if he chose a school where there was not a connection to Adidas, and he'd kind of be in the NIL, which his sister runs all of his NIL deals.
Yeah.
If then it would be, okay, he's looking to better himself in his craft.
Bang.
Okay. Because
Bang.
he's going to a school that probably has a quarterback head coach that has a history of developing quarterbacks. Like, that's why everybody wants to go to Oregon.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I see what he's looking for. But if it's like, yeah, I'm going to an Adidas school and that head coach doesn't really have a history of quarterbacks, they just have a history of having a big bank account.
Bang.
Then I'm like, okay, what are we looking for? And then to answer the question, because I would love to ask him this question. What you came to Nebraska for, why did it not happen? And now your next school, why did you come there? And I don't know if we'll get a stock answer or whatever, but just because I listened to Carson Beck yesterday, and Carson Beck was kind of out of Georgia once he got hurt.
Yeah.
And I think Georgia's happy. I got Stockton. I mean, Georgia, by the way, is my pick to win the national championship this year.
Wow. You turned the corner on them big time.
They've turned the corner.
But listen, you said that 4 weeks ago. So I don't think you're not that you need people to be like Gary's not bandwagoning, but you're not bandwagoning.
So I listened to Carson Beck yesterday. I mean, there's pressure on Carson Beck and Miami to win at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, people are saying, "Hey, DeBoer, you got to win." I think there's some pressure on Miami now that you're on the stage to win a football game. They're slight underdog, right?
3.5 points.
Okay. But Carson Beck yesterday, and I haven't heard a ton of him speak. He was like, "This is what I came to Miami for."
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I'd love to pose that question to Dylan. I know why you came to Nebraska. You said it publicly. We're 2 years afterwards. You're looking for your next home. What you came to Nebraska for, why did that not come to fruition? And then your next school, why did you come there?
Okay.
And then that might give you some insight into, is Dylan just Dylan, or is Raiola just Raiola?
So this is a great answer. Or this is a great question, because here's how I view this. It's a character defining answer for him, that question.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he were to answer that question, we didn't win enough, and he kind of puts the onus on other people as to why it didn't work out, you know what you need to know about him. But if he goes ahead and he says, it was on me, I didn't get better enough, I didn't improve enough, and unfortunately I feel bad, and I didn't maybe take the proper steps I needed to, and I learned, okay, if he puts it more on himself, right? Character defining. Was it you or was it other people? But I'll throw a question right back at you, and a question for other people listening here. How do you think Dylan would answer? How do you what do you think? And maybe you don't need to answer this, Gary, but how do you think Dylan would answer? Because if you think Dylan would answer the former and he would say, "Oh, we didn't win enough, and they didn't put enough around me," then his camp failed to do something that they had been trying to do over and over and over and over again for the last 2 years, and that's build a positive brand. Right? It's always been about the brand. The brand. How do you look? How do people view you? If you think that Dylan was more likely to say, "Man, it didn't work out in Nebraska because I didn't get the things I needed," then they didn't do a very good job of building his character and trying to get him to be looked at as a positive light, because they really tried that with how they put him out there and the situations they put him in.
I don't know. That's weird. I've never been in the portal, never been at that level that Dylan is with it being a brand and a family. There's probably part of you that go, man, I'm hearing reaction from the head coach and the athletic director that says we weren't surprised, or teammates when they were asked about it the other day. They're like, next man up.
QB1 energy.
And then last night, in describing TJ Lateef, he's a guy that doesn't blame others.
Okay.
So maybe we're done with Dylan. We'll let you know where his next stop is.
Maybe hot take, breaking news.
All right, Steve Sipple joins us next. All right, let's welcome in our good friend from 93.7 The Ticket and on 3 Husker Online, that great array of talent that is there. It is Stephen M. Sipple. Good morning, Sip. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you guys. Who's with you today?
It'd be Matt McMaster.
When am I not with him, Gary or it's Steve?
I know
Who was that?
you got confused, Sip. You were on afternoons the other day, and Matt was helping out Josh. So I see the confusion. We're all old.
Matt, you know how the radio business goes. And
I really don't, if I'm being honest with you, Steve.
One day they're here, the next day they're
I'm
gone.
still kind of learning here.
Yeah.
Are you insinuating that I should no longer have my job, Steve? We can beef right now.
no, I'm not insinuating
I'm
that.
kidding.
Just insinuating
Kidding.
the holiday and there's a rotation of people, it seems like.
Yeah.
Not at yours, just anywhere, just everywhere. I'm not talking about even the radio biz. Just talking about anything.
Yeah, I mean, no, that you're totally right. The people I typically see at JCPenney in the holidays are not the people I typically see at JCPenney, you know, when I regularly go there. JCPenney is a great place to shop, right, Steve?
Didn't have that on my bingo card.
I don't know. About
Are you a
that, but
Kohl's
yeah.
guy? Are you a Kohl's guy? You like Kohl's?
Jesus, why don't you just ask him, hey, Sip, what was it like when you went to Sears and Montgomery Ward?
I mean, how was that?
Kohl's is fine. It's fine.
Yeah, Kohl's is more than fine. Kohl's is, yeah. I could live at Kohl's and Target.
Yeah, Kohl's Cash.
Yeah.
Be a part of the circle.
All right. On that note, let's talk about the news of the week because Nebraska football moves on. Dylan Raiola moves on. Before you know it, Nebraska will be getting ready for Ohio. And by the way, a new head coach as Brian Smith was fired. They play in a bowl game in a couple of days, and Ohio lost their football coach because he has serious personal misconduct issues. But as Nebraska moves on, and it's not only for the 26th season, but is the tenure of Matt Rule here, as you close the book on Dylan, what lessons do you think that the head coach learned from having Dylan Raiola in the program and having Dylan Raiola run his offense?
Lessons. Well, I mean, just the very basic. I don't know if it's a lesson, but I think you need a little more mobility at that position. A little more mobility sometimes. I think you could. That's a philosophical discussion. It's not. That's not an indictment on Dylan. It's just a philosophical discussion, especially if you're not. You know, if you've got some deficiencies up front, it really helps if you have a mobile quarterback, and they had some deficiencies there. So that, I mean, I'm just saying how I would be. I don't know if this is a Matt Rule lesson. I would tamp down the celebrity part of it a little bit, probably. I don't know though. I don't know. That's a pretty complex discussion. In that, there's also. Maybe you just want a player to work through it and come to understand that, you know, being a little dialed back may be a better course. But I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks that shouldn't even be brought up. Wow, the wind's really picking up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That you shouldn't even bring that up because if they won 10 games, nobody care about that stuff. You know, if you win, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. I don't know what kind of lessons. It's a hard question. Here's why it's hard to answer that question, Gary, because I don't know how Rule went into the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what his level of expectation was really. I don't know what he thought about the situation in when you talk about a broad scope. I don't know. I don't know how to answer it because I don't know what he expected.
But don't you? It's like sometimes when you haven't you haven't coached or been around a player that is a brand and a player, you don't know how to handle it, and it's not your style. But you do it because man, nobody would turn that down, and you're trying to make sure that elevates your program. Maybe when you're away, you're like, you know what? It was great for a little bit, but I got to get back to my core beliefs of the kind of player and what I want to do with my program. I don't know. I think there are lessons to learn here, probably more outside of the offense because they'll do what they need to do with the offense. But let me shift this and let's stick with Rule here because Matt and I are listening to him last night on his radio show. And money is talked about a lot, and he does not hide the fact that Nebraska has resources to retain or reward or acquire players that they haven't had in his previous 3 years when they've gone into the offseason. And I look at it and I listen. Do you think there are similarities without a Cody Campbell and without pump jacks that Nebraska is trying to be the Texas Tech of the Midwest? A lot of resources, spend it wisely, have success like Texas Tech did, because Joey McGuire and Matt Rule are very similar in terms of their coaching background, their age, and their success.
Yeah, I don't think they have that kind of money, though. I don't think they have, unless you know something I don't. I don't think Nebraska's. They're not the. I don't know. That's not the way I regard it. Texas Tech of the Midwest. I don't think they have that kind of money. They have good money, but they don't have elite money. I mean, I know what they're saying right now. I read it, I heard it. I heard Dannon talk. I talked to Dannon about it. They're in a better position. They haven't been in a bad position.
Yeah.
I hope it's not being portrayed that way by anybody. Nebraska hasn't been in a bad position. They're just in a better position now. But I don't think they're top. They're not in that Oregon, Texas Tech. There's probably a few others you could put in there. I don't think they're in that.
He referenced Texas and Texas A&M. They're not to that level yet, which we know they have more money than God at both of those places.
Yeah, they're not presenting it that way. So, no, I don't see it that way. I just think they're solid. They know that they're in a good position to get good players. I thought his message last night was kind of interesting in that there's that discussion, but we have to have this discussion too that there's a lot of players in the system that need to develop, and that those players are really important. You know, we always talk about it, the amount of sophomores, redshirt freshmen, and freshmen on the 2 deep. There's a lot. There's 30. There's 35. I mean, maybe one counted 39. Kind of depends on which 2 deep. But that's a lot. That's a big part of it too. But no, I don't look at this as. Now, I can be swayed. You can try to sway me that this is the Texas Tech of the Midwest, but no, I've never thought that way for a second.
Now, they spent a lot of money in Lubbock, but they also, I give credit to them, is they spent smart money. They somehow, with all of the money that they had, convinced players that you're not just coming for money, you're playing for something. And we've seen it come to fruition that Texas Tech has a playoff team that is a bye with a head coach that the previous 3 years at Texas Tech won 8 games, 7 games, 8 games. This year, 12-1.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, that's a huge part of this discussion is spending smart.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it doesn't. Well, Matt said last night that money doesn't guarantee anything here. It just gives you a better chance. I butchered what he said. I'm going off memory, but it doesn't. It's not going to guarantee anything. You got to be wise in the way you approach it. In all of these discussions, it's important to say you got to get the right guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to. It doesn't I don't know. It's still, scouting matters, evaluation matters. All of that still matters, and maybe matters more than ever at a high level. And Nebraska's just been okay. And what I don't like is this. Some people are portraying it like, okay, now Nebraska's got enough money. Now we can get going. No, they've. I mean, if you go back to ABM in 2021, I believe it was the summer of 2021, Nebraska has been on the cutting edge of all of this discussion, this NIL discussion. That's not a valid excuse to say it's held Nebraska back. In fact, Nebraska's always been positioned pretty well. They just haven't taken advantage of it.
Steve, to me, when Matt Rule was hired, he was hired off of the basis that he had done less with more. Or he had done, I screwed that up. He had done more with less, right? And so he had less talented recruiting staffs or recruiting classes at Temple. He had to clean up a terrible mess at Baylor, and he was able to develop really great players. And that was the key word, right? Development. In a way, though, don't you think that, and no one's going to say, no, I don't want more money to get better players. But in a way, don't you think that their need for more money and their want for more money to compete for the top of the crop in a way contradicts part of the reasons he was hired?
I don't know how to answer that. I, maybe maybe just as by accident a little bit because everything's changed a little bit, but not really.
Okay.
I don't know how to answer it.
Well, I think it would have been. I think if let's say Rule is hired last year, maybe the conversation is different because
sure.
he was walking into the beginning of kind of the NIL stuff.
Yeah. And so I just throw that out there though, just because Steve, like I just look at it from my perspective of, and maybe this is the better question I ask you. Has he developed in the manner that you thought he would have? Has he developed players the way that you thought he would have when he got hired overall as a team?
That's an ongoing conversation. I think you can definitely find spots where, Emmett's the leading example of great development, and you can find it. It's not that hard to find if you look up and down the roster there's guys that have developed in that program. And I always feel like we're doing this discussion. We're talking about a sub 500 team. There's been development. You can look at Justin Evans, for instance, or Latofsky, or there's various linemen you can look at. You can flip to the defensive side and find some examples too of guys that have purely developed right before our eyes, and we don't give the staff credit enough. It's about where I thought, but we're okay. I guess the best way to answer that is we're heading into a crucial period.
Yeah.
Year four is when you've had these guys that we're talking about, particularly the redshirt freshmen and sophomores. Hey, Matt, what's that going to look like next year?
Sure.
Just look at the depth chart and look at how many redshirt freshmen, sophomores, and true freshmen you have to start.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start seeing those guys pop. You have to start seeing difference makers, not just guys that have potential. No, you got to start seeing it now.
Yeah.
Especially with the schedule the way it is. But I guess I hesitated to answer the question because it's ongoing, and B, now we're getting to the point where I'll be able to answer that question.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of all these guys, these 30-some guys on the roster that now you have to start leaning on.
Yeah.
They're not just guys that you point to and say, well, he's got potential, he's got potential, he's got potential. No, they're guys like that you have to start saying, okay, no, that guy's an all Big Ten level player. Is Shavers really he developing like you want? Is Cortez Mills developing like you want? Is Jones on the corner developing like you want? Is Caleb Benning developing like you want? I could name literally 25 players. Is Carter Nelson developing like you want? So I don't know. I can't answer it right now. I'll be able to. You know what? This time next year, I'll have a pretty good answer.
Hey, so let's shift to the defense with Rob Orich being boots on the ground. Rule is coaching defensive line. We find out that RVP has a black shirt, which we thought is probably 4 months late from when we thought he would get one. But Utah is all of a sudden change. They're gonna run the ball at least 40 times. They're just gonna keep hammering. What impact do you think this kind of new energy, the head coach being more involved on defense, Phil Snow being the guy calling defensive plays, how much of an impact do you think we'll see on New Year's Eve afternoon in Vegas from the defense that looks different from what we saw in the last month?
I think Eckler's big in that discussion. I think that I think that maybe they'll hold up better on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has to be. It sounds sort of simplistic to pick out just one thing like that, but it was that was an ongoing issue that you might be able to step in and help it immediately. And just being able to hold up against the run better. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see on all of that, but I don't expect it to turn on a dime. It doesn't usually work like that. But there are cases where you sort of you saw it with Bush when he took over the defense.
They got a bump.
It didn't turn completely on a dime, but there was a bump.
Oh yeah.
So you need a bump here. They need one. I mean, Snow did a good job last week of laying out that challenge where you have two quarterbacks that rush for a combined 1,200 yards and two running backs that ran for 1,500, and that this is a team that ran for 200 plus yards, 10 times?
Yeah.
I mean, man, that's all. You listen to that, and if you're a Nebraska fan, there's a degree of trepidation given what we've seen, particularly in the last two games.
Rule talks he's going to talk at a press conference tomorrow. Is there anything you're really dying to know heading before the Utah game?
I'd like to know how he feels about the notion of a reset, if this is what we're doing.
Sure.
Yeah, I saw
That
you wrote
word,
that.
what he thinks about that word. My guess is he'll stiff arm that discussion and not want to really even address it, because I don't think you want to do that. I wrote a column about it recently, and I sort of have some regrets because they kind of did it last year too, right?
Yeah.
They've replaced all three coordinators. I mean, is this what we're doing again? I mean,
That is true.
So I don't know. I kind of want to ask him that. He was asked about Dylan Raiola last night. I don't know that he doesn't want to talk about personnel like that.
Sure.
So I don't think you'll get a lot out of him on that. So I'd like to ask him about Latif. I mean, I want to know more about what that picture looks like.
Okay.
Holgorsen, that was a concerning picture that Holgorsen painted the other day. No fault of anybody. It's just he's got a hamstring issue. And how you beat Utah with your third string quarterback if that's what they have to do. I don't think that's what they'll have to do, but they do have to be careful with the way they approach it with Latif.
Do you think that, because obviously they are talking right now, but what is our plan going to be at the quarterback position? I'm sure that they're circling guys and watching tape and doing their due diligence, because it's not a matter of like they got to bring in the guy who's going to start next year. They just got to bring in somebody to be at that position. They need scholarship guys. Do you think that TJ at all can like change their opinion on how they're going to approach the quarterback situation through his performance against Utah?
I believe it's late. No, I think it's too late.
Okay.
And I believe that they got to go get a starter. I mean, and I think that's what the mindset is there. From everything I've heard, they got to go. They're going to go pay money to somebody, is what I believe. So no, I think that's what it is. No, I don't. I think it's too. I think it's. Yeah. Now, would it be too late if TJ was fully healthy and rolling, working in team drills, not just individual drills this month? It's still a little late, probably, to be honest. That's my opinion. But what's not my opinion is my belief that they are, when they say we're going into the portal to get a quarterback, they're not going in to talk to a guy about, hey, we got our guy, but we'd like you to supplement.
Sure.
No, I don't think that's what's going on. I think they're going to get a guy that can step in and not and now listen. This all occurs in the context of a real rough schedule. I know if it was me, now back to opinion, if it was me leading the program, I'm going to get a guy that can win on the road.
I agree.
Against Oregon. Like, this isn't just, I don't know. The mindset has to be, we got to go beat Oregon. Okay. That's what we got to do. We got to beat Indiana. We got to beat Ohio State. What are we doing? If we're not having those conversations like that, then all of us are wasting our time.
Oh, you're 7-5. Sip, as always, I appreciate it. Happy holidays, my friend. Good stuff this week. Always enjoy the conversation.
I do too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
Stephen Sipple. I think that you and I have had really good conversations about Latif versus the field in terms of the quarterback transfer portal. I think that you've made some really good points in terms of, like, you can see it. You can see Latif being a really, really good quarterback. You can see the makings of him fitting the offense the way that you want. Gary, what it boils down to for me is that I don't know with this schedule, with how big this year is going to be, if you can just kind of cross your fingers and hope he develops into a quarterback that can win Big Ten football games. And instead, you might be better off getting a guy who has won Power Four.
No, I
football
think
games.
that's fair, but then I think it asks a question because the guy Nebraska misevaluated TJ Lateef. They have the wrong quarterback coach. I mean, you have to be careful here.
Sure.
They have to get a guy that is on equal footing or better than Lateef, and then let's see Lateef go. Because that position can't be a problem. Now, remember, in the Lateef world, you're a year ahead of where you're supposed to be because this was supposed to be a Dillon year with a tough schedule. We're fine. 27, Lateef has been in the program for 3 years. As long as he doesn't transfer out, he'll be the guy. And then he plays for a little bit, and then he hands it off to Trey Taylor, and we got a nice little system going here.
And so it's like you have to wonder how have the last 3 games plus the bowl game affected the mindset of where TJ thinks
he just didn't leave, like I said earlier. He didn't his performance didn't leave no doubt. Like, okay, we got our guy. Let's find a guy with him. We're Nebraska. We've told everybody we have money, so we have to go and get somebody. That's why they make the decisions in Lincoln, and they can't miss on this, whether missing on the development next step of Lateef or whoever they bring here. And do they bring a 1-year guy or a 2-year guy?
So that's the next question that we would have. That's the next discussion we would have. But I think that you can't deny the fact that TJ Lateef, what's happened this season, if he continues with the plan, it sets him up better for what 2027 could look like.
But if it's a 2-year guy that you go to get in the portal, does he stick around?
Probably not.
If he's not the starter.
Probably not.
Yeah. All right. And then Nebraska becomes a feeder program for quarterbacks.
Yeah, but you can be both. You can be both the, hey, we recruit, we develop in-house, and then we supplement in the portal. Like that's what Ohio State did, right? Ohio State's done a little bit of both the last couple of years.
The last thing you want to be is a group of 5 playing at a Power 4 quarterback feeder program. At one point, kids forget, you might forget, there were 2 quarterbacks from Marshall and there was a quarterback from Miami of Ohio got drafted high.
Sure.
Those days might be over, where those programs are quarterback feeder programs where they are there for 2 years. They go to their second school for 1 year, and then their NFL draft stock. That's where they get drafted out of.
I think that's a solid point.
All right. Brian Edwards will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, let's talk to our good friend, senior handicapper at Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. Again, I keep plugging that site. Fantastic site. It is a guy that helped move DJ Legway out of Gainesville. It is Brian Edwards. Good morning.
Good morning. How we doing?
Good. Do you have an early favorite that you would like to see play in Gainesville that's in the portal, quarterback wise? Can I introduce you to a guy named Dylan?
I think it's going to be Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech, who's obviously got the history with Buster Faulkner, the new OC. Now, I don't know if he's being brought in to be the starter. I mean, we have a redshirt freshman, Tramel Jones, who he didn't play much this year, but looked pretty good when he did. I'm surely they're going to go for another, and we have an incoming freshman, but surely we're going to grab another guy out of the portal. But Philo set broke all of Trevor Lawrence's high school records in the state of Georgia, and has played well when he got in. He started week 2 against an FCS team, and I feel like he started maybe a game or two last year when King was a little banged up, but not a whole lot of experience to just anoint him as the starter. So we'll see.
Hey, let's jump into this. We have playoff football beginning tomorrow night in Norman. This game at one point opened up with Bama as the favorite. People are questioning on both sides the quarterbacks, John Mateer, Ty Simpson. Now Oklahoma is a slight favorite. So basically a toss-up. Who gets the opportunity to move on out of a SEC rematch, Oklahoma or Bama?
Well, I like Oklahoma. They have won 6 of their 7 home games, only lost to another CFP team. Ole Miss, they've won 4 in a row, including wins at Tennessee and at Alabama's underdogs, and a 17-6 win over Missouri. They have an elite defense, and that's bad news for a one-dimensional Bama team that's ranked 18 in the country in rushing yards. And their offensive line might be the most disappointing position group in the country this year. And I don't know that Ty Simpson's very healthy. He hasn't looked like it in the last 4 or 5 games. So even though Alabama's got the revenge angle, I like Oklahoma money line or minus the point or point and a half.
Hey, so we have Ole Miss Tulane, which is another rematch. I don't know, maybe we're secretly rooting for Ole Miss to prove people wrong that they can still win without Lane Kiffin. What are you doing with this game, and what are you doing with, in particular, the 2 quarterbacks and a star running back in this game?
Well, I'm going to have my Ole Miss team total, which is in the 36.5 to 37.5 range. I would like it all the way up to 38. Team total over is going to be my bigger play, but I'm also going to dip into the player prop market. So Kewan Lacey has had 3 games where he scored at least 3 touchdowns. And he's had another, 1, 2, 3, where he scored at least 2, including the game against Tulane earlier in the year. I'm going to take a shot, just small change on plus 320 odds for him to score 3 touchdowns. My more preferable play on the player props, I'm going to go Trinidad Chambliss over 38.5 rushing yards in the first game against Tulane. He had, as I'm getting there, he had 112 rushing yards. And then let's go Jake Retzlaff, the Tulane quarterback, over, I don't know if you guys are looking at it, was 37.5. He had 51 rushing yards against Ole Miss on only 8 attempts. And then Chambliss to score the first touchdown is plus 700 or plus 750?
Plus 750.
I don't know. Yeah, plus 750. For him to score the first touchdown in the game, and Lacey is plus 250.
I love this.
Hopefully they'll get a first and goal inside the 5.
Yeah.
And run an RPO where Lacey gets it or Chambliss takes it in.
Hey, this isn't on your card. One quick one, and then Matt will hit you with your 2 NFL games that you like. Texas A&M Miami. It's not on your card, but your thoughts on the spread, what you think will happen there if you just have an outside thought. But I also know you like a player prop of a guy that maybe playing with a little bit of a edge because he wasn't involved in the Heisman race, Marcel Reed, a quarterback for A&M.
Yeah, so I don't like the game or the side of the total. I don't trust either team to be honest. Texas A&M's had a great season. got a little exposed against Texas. But I don't know. There's just I don't trust A&M. And then Miami, obviously they look great at Pitt in a cold weather game, which surprised me. But late in the season on the road, normally not very good under Cristobal. So I'm going to go Marcel Reed. Now I loved it at over 28.5 rushing yards, which is where it was 48 hours ago. Now it's 33.5. But he's gone over 33.5. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7 of 12 games. And so I'm going over 33.5. And, you know, with his speed, I mean, he can go 35 yards in a given play. So that's my main play on that game.
Big games in the NFL this week. We're kind of, you know, week 16 is weird for some of these teams where it's an off chance they can get eliminated, but they're more so jockeying for playoff positioning in those final games in week 17 and week 18. But we got a lot of really good matchups. Here's an interesting one. The Lions, they're 8-6. They actually, Brian, I don't know if you know this, they could get eliminated from the playoffs this week if they lose to the Steelers and the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears tie each other. But if they lose to the Steelers, things could go haywire for them pretty quickly. They're a 7-point favorite against Pitt.
Yeah, I love the Lions here regardless, but the fact that they're in bounce back mode off a regular season loss since early November of 23, they're 15-0, and they're 14-1 against the spread, and 10 of those wins by double-digit margins. The only non-cover was when they played Jameis and the Giants, a month or so ago. And Pittsburgh's on a short week after beating the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, and like you noted, desperation mode for Detroit. They know they got to win out to make the playoffs. And they're banged up defensively, have been for, just like they were last year, 3 starters in the secondary out. But their offense is playing fantastic, and that'll be the key. Lions -7.
If I told people at the beginning of the season that the Broncos and Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be playing a marquee matchup, I think somebody probably would have slapped me. But these are two teams that not only have great records and are atop of their division, but they're playing some of the best football in the AFC right now. That Jacksonville defense has been lights out. And then on top of that, Trevor Lawrence with Liam Cohen is finally finding his stride. But Bo Nix is slinging it. Broncos are a 3-point favorite against the Jags, Brian.
Yeah, both teams playing great, but I got to go Denver here. Unbeaten in 7 home games, 4 wins by 8 or more. They've won 11 in a row, regardless of venue. Haven't tasted defeat since September 21st. Going into altitude and cold weather for these Florida boys. Got to go Broncos -3.
Hey, have a great weekend. Enjoy a lot of football this weekend, my friend.
Should be fun. Thanks, gentlemen. You have a great weekend as well.
That's Brian Edwards. Those picks from the Vegas Insider. It's at Senior Handicapper at VegasInsider.com. Oh, I thought I saw a portal thing.
You freaked me out.
Well, no, I thought I
do that sometimes, where you do the finger and you're looking, and I'm like, what does he know? What does he know?
Well, it said breaking news, and I thought I saw a portal name that I recognized. MajorWager.com is a place where you can also find a lot of Brian's information. All right, playoff preview tomorrow. Brett Ciancia is back on the show. Lee Sterling is on the show.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
We'll see what happens today. Think I have a quiet day?
Probably.
Let Nebraska basketball have their glory. Let everybody know this mere fact about Nebraska basketball. This might surprise a lot of people. Matt Norlander, hat tip. Since 23-24, Nebraska has gone 55-25 in men's basketball. That is the 19th best record out of 79 Power 5 programs, just behind Alabama, Illinois, and ahead of Creighton and Kentucky.
Hell yeah, brother.
You would have never thought that.
Nope, not at all.
But when you're 11-0, people go, let me look at that program.
When you've won 15 straight games, people go, let me look at that program.
Not bad. Fred has the 15th
Blue blood.
best NIL system in the Big Ten in basketball.
Nebraska hasn't lost a game in 9 months.
Yep. And a big reason? Guys get along. They split the $300K from the crown evenly.
Really?
We'll do the crossover next. I think Odson is here. He can celebrate his national championship with all of you on 1620 The Zone.